Wolfpack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street. RotoStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here for a draft day. Ask me anything. It is the biggest draft day of the year, folks. The season is just 5 days away. I am so pumped, so excited. I have got my hometown auction today. I think it's the 18th, 19th year of this one. We have the 20th anniversary coming up soon. Cannot wait. So I'm going to be prepping all day. I'm going to start the morning off with a little warm-up, a little stretch by doing 5 Best Ball Manias. I believe I have 6 tickets left. So you're going to see 5 of the last 6 entries I have as well. So I'll toss those in. But the real point of the show is to answer any questions you guys might have heading into your drafts, keepers, what to do from pick 6. Should I pick this guy, that guy, anything at all? What food should I be eating during the draft? Doesn't matter to me. Any questions are fair. So I'm going to enter a Best Ball Mania and then just kind of let the chips lie where they are. Whatever you guys need help with, please let me know, and I am more than happy to. But I am fired up. I've got an auction today, so I'm going to be really diving into my auction values, my budget. I think I'll record a show after. I'm going to record it before I draft, kind of outlining my auction plan, and then I'll release it after today. I don't want my league mates knowing my plan heading in, even though I have a draft guide. They all probably already know my game plan anyways, but I haven't exactly put out my auction values a little bit on purpose in the sense we do have a great auction series on the site if you want it as well. But on that note, as you guys are coming in here, all of our content is at rotostreetjournal.com. Any early thumbs ups really help us get out to more people. And of course, again, it's an open mailbag. So come on in, toss those questions on in here, and happy to discuss anything you've got. I had a few come in before the stream, so I'll just kind of tackle those ones, and I'll put up a quick banner for it. And one of them was Ollie Gordon, and should we be buying this hype? So Ollie Gordon, and they specifically asked Ollie Gordon versus Bashal Tootin. It was one of the first questions that I got this morning when I posted open mailbag. And so I'm at the point where I already have, if I'm drafting in best ball, I already have like almost 30% Bashal Tootin. I've been ripping him all offseason. So I am at the point where I'm starting to stuff my bags with Ollie Gordon. Weirdly, in the opening drafts of the offseason, I had a ton of Ollie Gordon, and then I cooled off because Alex Madison's ahead of him. And then you got Jalen Wright playing so good apparently in training camp. When push came to shove, we got Alexander Madison out. Jalen Wright is now out for multiple weeks. And even Devon Achane is dealing with a hamstring thing himself, a soft tissue thing, rather. He's expected to be ready for week 1. Still, though, Ollie Gordon, 3 straight games leading the Dolphins in preseason rushing. Preseason performance, I know. Well, Jalen Wright had 19 carries and got like 18 yards. It was under a yard per carry, I'm pretty sure. And if not, it was certainly not 2 yards per carry. Meanwhile, we had Ollie Gordon averaging well over 6 yards per touch when you add in his receptions, looking like a beast. I mean, we're talking about the Doak Walker Award winner. So, and that's the best running back in the nation of the best running back class to come out in years. Now, granted, that was 2 years ago. I know he's a tricky evaluation, what happened his senior year, but I'll say eyeball test-wise, Ollie Gordon looks a lot more like that 2023 guy that if you were doing like college best ball stuff, he was going first overall, and deservedly so. He certainly flopped his senior year, but he is looking phenomenal. So all that to say is with my bags packed on Tootin, I personally am going Ollie Gordon for the rest of draft season in that range. I'm trying to stuff these last few drafts in with Ollie Gordon, with Jalen Coker, some of those intriguing risers of recent note. But ultimately, if I had only one of them, I'm doing one draft for all the money, my redraft league, for example, I'm going Bashal Tootin. I still think he is, other than Jadon Blue, my favorite running back sleeper here is Bashal Tootin. And so I am, in love with. Sure, it's a crowded situation, but it's ambiguous. And it's Liam Cohen's backfield and the expected fantasy points that he was able to generate with the Bucs last year. I think he's going to use them exactly the same way. Get him in space, get him going in the screen game. And so I love Bashal Tootin. I know he's got a couple people to jump here. He's looked great all preseason, though. I still wouldn't be shocked if before week 1 hits, Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, both of them are rumored to be on the trade block. And so I'll take the hand-picked guy by Liam Cohen. We'll be drafting 11th in this draft as well. So I've got that pulled up here. Put it in just a separate window here and share that tab instead. That will look better for everybody. You can kind of see. I'll zoom out too so you can get everybody's picks in there. But yeah, so I do go Bashal Tootin. You look at what does Liam Cohen prioritize. If you look at the next Bucky Irving, right? The Bucs tackle breaking. Both of these guys were in that 90th plus percentile, Ollie Gordon and Bucky Irving, in terms of breaking contact, breaking up the yards after they've first been hit. Tank Bigsby is very good at that too. Travis Etienne's not. He goes down at first hit. He's horrendous. The other thing that Big Shal Tootin has that Bucky Irving never did is 4.3 insane speed, like 99th percentile RAS score. Just an absurd athlete, like a ridiculous vertical. And I know, your verticals, running back with an insane vertical, what's that matter? It's the explosivity, it's the strength, the muscles. This guy is a beast through contact. And so I really do like Big Shal Tootin. If I could only pick one of these two sleepers, that is the one I am going with in my leagues. But personally, in these best ball drafts, like you're like, Wolf, you gave me that advice at the top of the show, and I just saw you draft Ollie Gordon over Big Shal Tootin. Again, I have so much Big Shal Tootin. He's my second most rostered player, right around 30% of Big Shal Tootin in these drafts across 500 or so best ball drafts. So at this point, at 8 to 9% Ollie Gordon, I'm just trying to get him up too, because I do see him. Those are two of the guys that I just could see being those true league-winning running backs alongside, of course, Jadon Blue. And we are off and running in the draft, folks, with Chase, Lamb, Gibbs, Bijan falling all the way to 4, and Nico jumping Jefferson and Barkley. So an intriguing 7th pick there for Barkley. And now we are going to be on the clock in 2 with McCaffrey, St. Brown, Puka, Brian Thomas, all kind of staring me in the face. I mean, look, I have not been drafting Christian McCaffrey. Those of you that have the guide, he doesn't fall to me. Thankfully, doesn't put me in that type of pretzel. I do have Brian Thomas ahead of Puka right now. Wouldn't mind landing them both if Puka makes his way back, or pairing Puka with either of the two running backs should they not make it back. I love the 11th pick. It's a nice place to be. CMC is such a tricky one. And I will admittedly say I've taken him a little bit in best ball. If you read the guide, I'm fading him in redraft. He's not my guy. And so now we'll go with Ashton Genty, hope for that just insane rookie profile to just go bananas this year. All about it. So starting off with a nice running back receiver. Love that start to draft. Gives me a little flexibility as the next rounds come. What ends up falling to me, Kyron Williams there, great. I've only gotten one running back so far. I can snipe him. Are the receivers fine? I go receiver. We'll see. So I always love hammering those two to start a running back receiver combo. And even in redraft, that is also what I'm often looking to do, is leave as an elite receiver, an elite running back, and kind of build from there. I do love the elite tight ends this year as well. So my first 3 picks are often running back, receiver, tight end. You call it the rainbow approach, right, where you get all of these. So, but again, to wrap up that Ollie Gordon versus Big Shal Tootin, if I had to pick only one and that's all my drafts, it'd be Big Shal Tootin, but I am starting to stack up Ollie Gordon as much as I can. Thank you, Jonas, for letting me know you love the content. I appreciate it. Giuseppe, my man, love it is the season. Absolutely. I don't know if you got any drafts today, but again, the point of the show. So love to see some people coming in here, commenting. Give me your questions. The goal of this show, I'm going to be calling for, a couple hours to get these drafts done. And so I ultimately would love to know whether it's review your team. I'm happy to grade your team, let you know how it went. And so, let me know how it went. So Giuseppe, you had the 5th pick. You went the jellyfish and just went with the value. So I imagine you went either Lamb or Jefferson at the top. And I am not opposed at all. I do prefer bell cows. I'm not going to lie. I've always been that way. And certainly with this resurgence here, I love my starts. Again, when it's balanced receiver, running back, tight end type of thing. But I have a lot of teams that I really am in love with that have just like Gibbs Taylor. You know what I mean? Those type of starts are just insane. You don't often get that in the redraft. Running backs get a little bit bumped up compared to best ball. All I have to say, though, if you end up jellyfish, you got to, what the jellyfish method is, for those who haven't read the guide, you kind of go with the flow. It's from the Jack Johnson quote. You move like a jellyfish, rhythm is nothing. You go with the flow, you don't stop. My little pot smoking high school senior quote over there. It was a good way to live life, right? Go with the flow. You don't stop. You just keep moving. And that's how I like to draft too, is sure, I do prefer running backs early, but let's say, okay, 5th pick, Lamb falls to me. Running back massacre in round 2. And I'm staring at, AJ Brown has made it back, or, whatever elite wide receiver that should have been gone at this point. Drake London, for example. Yeah, I've seen some CD Drake London teams. It's just like, of course I would go with that. I'd be happy to, even if I love that as well. So ultimately, that's the kind of jellyfish method. And Stephen Drake's, so good to see a friend of the show. I'm up in 1 pick, Stephen. Thank you so much for the support, though. We will get to this super chat in just a second. You're so generous. Greatly, greatly appreciate the support. And I was hoping for Kyron there. I won't lie. I know I kind of alluded to that, but I will go the strategy I talked about, that rainbow strategy. Love George Kittle. Think he might be the pick of drafts. We're talking the most target volume he's ever seen potentially. Always been so elite on the touches he does get, but ultimately, he got so many mouths to contend with in this offense. Not anymore. He should be the main vein. Alrighty, I do like Devontae Adams a lot here. I love Trevion Henderson. I've been trying to get more and more of him. I think I'm going to go with Adams. I don't want to get too far behind on receiver in these best ball drafts. In a redraft league, I probably would have gone Trevion there. But let's dive into Stephen Drake's. You have CMC in redraft. I'm next in a slow draft, round 11. Should I draft Brian Robinson for safety, Ollie, Blue, or Tootin? So I'm seeing Brian Robinson. I did some drafts. I'm in slow drafts right now. He's falling to like the 170s, 180s. He's a pure handcuff, and that is what I view him as. And so ultimately, I would go myself, Blue. I'm a Jadon Blue fan. This goes with Slank's question here as well. So let's dive into this. I just look at that backfield. It's Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. And if Jaden Blue can't win that out, then he is not the bet I think he is. But I just look at a guy with 4.3 speed. He's on the table, great receiving skills. And just compared to Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, at this point, just the crustiest of crustiest backfields in an offense that's going to need points. No Micah Parsons now, and they're going to be chasing points all day. So I think they're going to be in passing situations more often. That favors Blue, one of the best pass catching, if not he was right there in the top 3 pass catching backs in this league. He was, most yards after contact per reception, most yards per hour. He was all there, up there. Brashard Smith certainly up there too. Great receiver on a team that I think is going to have to throw the crap out of the ball this year, right? And then you got 2 veterans that are just god awful to beat out, and I just see a situation, especially what run kind of. I watched that preseason game, right? He had this 13-yard zip where he cut and planted, zipped on the field. Javonte can't do that at this point. Miles Sanders can't do that at this point. And then right after he caps off the drive with a big boy run, they left him in at the goal line. That's where the one that really convinced me, like, okay, he could be a true 3-down back, is Jadon Blue, where they ultimately gave him the carry. He plows over a linebacker despite his small size, gets the score, celebrating. He's pumped, and the whole team's pumped. Dak goes over and congratulates him. Like this, he just brings so much more juice to the offense to have a Jadon Blue in there. And, you listen to the coaching quotes, and they asked about Jadon Blue. And I have it in the draft. I talked about him a ton. But it's, uncanny athleticism, true 3-down threat, ridiculous, acceleration through the hole. The coach, he compared him to a Darren Sproles, a bigger Darren Sproles was what the coach said. And the coach even said, I don't do that lightly, just because of the way his ability to make people miss. And then he was asked about Javonte Williams. He said, he brings wisdom to the table. I mean, I'll take the uncanny athletic 3-down back over wisdom any day of the week. And so I know he's listed, and as Slank says here, he's listed as RB3 in the depth chart. No. What they nominate people as on these depth charts really doesn't mean much to me. I think he's like, if anything, it's kind of telling us, okay, he's the passing down back. It won't be long till he earns that thing out. They passed over Ollie Gordon. They passed over DJ Giddens, these more featured backs, to go and get this guy. So I'm all about it. I'm clearly all in on this player. I love Jadon Blue. He's my most drafted player through a lot of drafts. I have gone to him time and time again. And yeah, I can't sing his praises anymore. So at this point, I like all these receivers. I don't have a ton of Chuba Hubbard, and I do like him a lot. 3-down back, Dave Canales offense just gets it done. They signed Rico Dowdle. I think he'll be involved a little bit, but he doesn't worry me. I would be happy with any of these guys as my third. I mean, Joe Burrow standing there as a screaming value just does not, unfortunately, fit this team build. That's why I do like going Chase Brown a little early. It kind of justifies it. I am trying to stack my Rashee Rice bags quite a bit here. And so I'm gonna do that. I know he's going to be suspended the first 6 games, but we know now, beginning of the season, you get it out of the way. By the time your fantasy playoffs roll around, anytime in the 60s, no brainer. I take him honestly like your mid-round 4. So I've been just hammering Rashee Rice in these drafts. But yeah, so I would definitely go Jadon Blue there, Stephen Drake's. And then I would go Ollie, or then I go Tootin, then I go Ollie. And you just hope Brian Robinson's there. But if you've made the CMC bet, right, like You've committed to it. You got to be betting that he's going to stay healthy. And I get that Brian Robinson would be a nice handcuff. If he's there in a couple rounds, go for it. I have been seeing him fall, right? Especially in slows where people can kind of plan it out. So I would not be drafting Brian Robinson for safety. You're trying to win a tournament here. So I would go Jadon Blue there. That's my boy. First picks were CD, Drake, Lund. Oh, my God, yes. I mean, you're already off to a great start. McBride, yeah, you jellyfish your way to a perfect team. Swift and Dobbins, fine running back twos. Should you have a better running back one? Yeah, probably. But if it came at the cost, and I think you do PPR, right, Giuseppe, which makes this even more insane that Trey McBride was there in round 3. Even in half PPR, it's a great team. Standard League, I might be a little concerned about this roster. But I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Giuseppe, that you do a full PPR league. And that's a beautiful 0 running back start. And this is a class we just talked about, Bashal Tootin, Ollie Gordon, all these guys. This rookie class is going to be insane. It might take a few weeks, but this is a great year to, maybe go back to the all-in on 0 running back. Not all-in. I want a hero. I would like a Derrick Henry. I would like a Bucky Irving. I want somebody that's my anchor that I feel really good about. But if you have one of those and then you load up the receivers beforehand around that, and then you get rookie running backs late, I think it could be a very good winning formula this year too. And so I'd be intrigued, Giuseppe, like your starting running backs, fine. Like it. You can go into the season and I think J.K. Dobbins, one of the best values. I think Swift is one of the mid-round breakouts that I am definitely targeting. I would be intrigued to know what your bench is, right? Because you definitely want some upside there. Do you have Jadon Blue? Do you have Bashal Tootin? Do you have Ollie Gordon? Some of these big swings that could end up being like genuine top 15 running backs. That's who I'd be looking for. The Joe Burrow fall is just insane to me on this draft, by the way, going at 77 to T. Higgins' team. And I guess, he played it well. He saw Chase team did not have – he had already drafted Allen. I honestly would still probably have taken Burrow here and just had the double elite quarterbacks and loaded that up. But he gets an absolute steal here, getting Joe Burrow all the way back at 77. That's where I think correlation gets a little too crazy. Like that's an insane roster right there that Lebs is putting together, and we all let it happen just right in front of our face. Joe Burrow at 77 should again be illegal, and so yeah. All righty, and let me make my pick here. 15. So, this is a pretty good value for Jawan, who continues to fall. He's been one of my guys all offseason. I was taking him 2 rounds earlier. I'll go back in at this point. He's uncertain for week 1, but did not land on the PUP list, at least as of now. So I'll go back to there. This is where drafts do start to get pretty ugly, I will say. I find myself often going running back here. Tracy was the one I was kind of queuing up, but I love Zach Charbonnet. He's one of those guys. I guess a good topic for this show, like when we have downtime, is like, who am I trying to stuff my bags with to close out drafts? Charbonnet is certainly on that list. Let me scroll so you guys can kind of still keep up with the picks here too. So we'll go right here. Charbonnet joins that list of guys I really want to stuff the bag with. I'm obsessed with that Seattle run scheme. We know Ken Walker's history there. So again, I'm not concerned at all about Jadon being listed as a running back 3. He will be the running back 1. You're getting Diet Jahmyr Gibbs there. That's what happened. Got CD running back Matt. Yep, exactly. So you jellyfish. You got yourself a beautiful team there, Giuseppe. Again, let me know those bench running backs though, because that's what's really going to determine, did you really pull off 0 running back well? You got a good starting lineup, but we need that upside on the bench too. Slank saying, should we start seeing the Raiders as a good offense? What about Seahawks? Great question. Great offenses. And I love that you're asking about offenses as a whole. There's definitely been some streams I had with the truth here. When you win big, it's when you find those offenses that everyone's sleeping on, so all the player values are down, and you just that offense as a whole takes off. I mean, there's no bigger example than the Rams back in 5-6 years ago when McVay first started. They went from legitimately worst in the league to first, and that made Todd Gurley, late round 2, an absolute monster. They had 3 top 15 wide receivers in Cooks and Kupp. And Robert Woods and all those guys were going like round 7 later. So you want to try to find these offenses that like projected by Vegas maybe to be low, like the Raiders projected to be maybe this. I think it's the 6th fewest points in the league. Seahawks right down there too. But you find these situations and then you dive in. So we'll start with the Seahawks. That's an easier answer to me. I don't think they're going to be an amazing offense, but I think they're going to be a phenomenal run game. You just saw me draft Zach Charbonnet. We saw it in the preseason. They had 120 rush yards in the first half of a game this preseason when they had Charbonnet in. First drive, 45 yards and a touchdown. He just marched on the field, 9 carries. I think they threw it like 3 times and ran it 10 times. The line looked much better. They got that first-round guard, very athletic. They got a beastly fullback. And so it's not a great line. I won't confuse you there, but we do have, of course, Clint Kubiak coming over. That's why I'm so obsessed with this. This is what you want to track, right, to find these offenses is these offensive coordinators moving. That might be a little under the radar. We just had Kamara put up his best yards per carry, rushing efficiency metrics in the last 7 years because of this Kubiak zone scheme. It goes all the way back to Gary Kubiak, Mike Shanahan. We're talking like Olandis Gary and Mike Anderson for the young folks. I don't even really know who these guys are, ripping off 1,000-yard seasons. And then when you get a really good talent in that offense, an Arian Foster, a Clinton Portis, right? Those guys go bananas and they break fantasy. And so I do have to pick. But I am all about these explosive talents. I like Rashid Shaheed. I only have 4 receivers, and I need I want Shaheed. Let me just star him to make sure. All right, there we go. Shaheed. I need some firepower to cover Rashid Rice's absence, and Shaheed's getting slept on. There's talk that he could be the true number 1 there right now. And I don't believe I have a quarterback. I saw Brock Purdy get sniped from me, which I was hoping to do. This would not be best practice for best ball, but I have very little Dak Prescott. I can get Jake Ferguson later, so I can backstack him. And I think, again, I'm probably going to get Jadon Ballou, right? I think that offense is going to have to just chuck all over the place. And so I'm going to go with Dak, kind of add him to the portfolio a little bit after ADP, and then aim for Ferguson and Jadon Ballou a little bit later in the draft. Fields, he's looked so bad. I'll look for Trevor Lawrence in the next round to stack Brian Thomas. Maybe Stafford late to stack him in, but those guys have the same bye week, right? So we'll see. But we're going to build a little back stack around Dak here in this one. But then on to the Raiders. I hope they're good offense. I have Ashton Genty as my first pick. I worry about the line. I think the line is concerning. But, I mean, I like Pete Carroll. I love that Chip Kelly's back. Last time he was in the offense, those Eagles were consistently running the most plays in the league. And so I like that a lot. And then you got Genty added to Bowers, 2 generational prospects, fine enough receiver in Jacoby Myers. I love this Dante Thornton kid. And I think Geno Smith is one of the more underrated. Everybody thinks he's an underrated quarterback, me included. I really like Geno Smith, a top 6 deep passer for 4 straight years. So Dante Thornton, love it. And so, yeah, beautiful stuff there. I do like, for sure, both those offenses, specifically the run game for the Seahawks. I like the Raiders just kind of all around, the line being that linchpin, though. Will it hold up? Because you do need a line typically for an offense to be solid. But it's a great question. And in the guide, I do talk a lot about, 10 offensive situations, the Vikings, the Broncos, right, as a holistic view. Because that is where you do get those league winners when you find the right undervalued offense to go all in on. I love the Vikings for that. I love the Broncos for that as well. But you've highlighted 2 different offenses that could for sure be thought of too low and end up ripping it up. Snyder, thank you so much for getting the guide right there. I greatly appreciate it. I'll just quickly share this tab and then we'll get back to the draft. Just to show you guys the draft guide here. Again, top 10 in accuracy. Last year is number 6, number 2 in 2022 to 2024 multi-year accuracy. So you're not just buying from some jamoke. And it's got the league winners, the penny stocks. You can see the table of contents here. 196 pages of fantasy goodness in the guide. The skeleton key players of the year, who are going to need to draft. And so consider supporting your boy. It means the world. If you can, a free way to help me out, though, is that thumbs up button. Free way to help us get out to more people, the likes, the shares, the retweets. So do consider that, but it would mean the world if you would consider buying that guide. It's right at the top of the website, rotostreetjournal.com. And pick 7, that's a tricky one, Schneider, because in all honesty, the right pick is probably CMC. He could be the 101 if he stays healthy, the league-winning guy. And if Schneider, I know in the guide I say, I'm never doing CMC again. If you want to go him, I fully understand it. I support it. He just doesn't play for me. It's a bad player-coach fit. You should know that because I'm fading him likely means he'll have his healthiest season yet and just go absolutely bananas. So, yeah, I think he's probably the best pick here. But I also cannot do it myself. So I am gonna go, I believe, Jake Ferguson here. I want to see what my opponent has for a tight end situation. I'm going to bump him up. So I'll go Jake Ferguson, stack Dak up. No more tight ends the rest of this draft. I know it's a little reach on Fergie, especially when I already have Kittle here. And then do I go? I mean, see, this is where I also really like Jadon Blue, and I do have Dak. So as much as I want to stack up Trevor Lawrence here, I'm just going to get my Cowboys here. This is a good range to get Ollie Gordon. I probably, in hindsight, I wanted to stack up Dak, so I had to go Fergie, right? But I really like Ollie Gordon. I wouldn't have hated like a Jadon Blue Ollie Gordon running back there, and then just kind of pile into that running back room. But I kind of regret it already. But there's other good running backs late that we can pluck into. But I'm trying to stuff my bags with as much Ollie Gordon late here. And so that would have been nice to kind of add him in as well. But yeah, Snyder, let me know what you're thinking. So you agree with the CMC fade. You don't trust him to stay healthy. So I personally go Neighbors there. Let me know who else you're considering. But I just see a guy, third most points of all time among rookie wide receivers, if 18 fantasy points per game. And that was with, a huge touchdown drought with garbage throwing to him. Now you have Jackson Dart's the real deal. Huge. If Jameis Winston plays any games, massive, right? And so I think Malik Neighbors he's my clear 7. A lot of people have Puka up there. Understand it, but of all those receivers, he's actually my lowest. If you want to go Derrick Henry, just get yourself a bell cow and hope Brian Thomas makes it back to you. If you draft on ESPN, you can honestly pull that off because Thomas is like 16 ADP there. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking, Michael Snyder. Thank you again so much for the support. Let me know what you think of the guide as well. In case you missed it, Jeremiah Smith and your defending champions, Ohio State Buckeyes play football today. Great day for head coaches that run an honest, clean program. Yes, of course, CJ. Very honest and clean over there at OSU. Of course. Go Blue. But I am very excited to see Jeremiah Smith. I'm excited to see Archie Manning. I'm excited because I got a bunch of the boys coming over at noon. We're gonna get tailgating for the draft. The draft's not until 7:30, so we're probably in for some trouble if we're gonna get going around noon. We've already been chuckling about it. But yeah, I cannot wait for a great day of college football. I know it kicked off technically last week, but this feels like the real one. Then we got Clemson, LSU later tonight. So great day of football, great day of drafting. Life is good. I hope you have a great Saturday as well. CJ, get to enjoy some of that action. Get to enjoy Archie Manning taking you to the tool shed today. No, I actually think OSU. If I was a betting man, I think I'm going to go with OSU in this one for sure. But guys, keep the mailbag coming. That's the whole point of this show is ask me anything, any questions you have heading into your drafts. I am more than happy to check out, more than happy to answer for you. One guy I am trying to stuff the bags with late here is Jalen Coker. So I'm going to add him. I know it's a little bit above ADP, but taking over that slot role, Holy Cross boy. So we got those connections as well. Love me some Jalen Coker, and I will stack him up with Bryce Young, the quarterback 6 from week 12 on last year. Seemed to really turn a corner. And so I'm a big fan of these back stacks you can create with him. I could get Jatavian Sanders later. I'm not going to in terms of Kittle and Ferguson. No need for that. My one regret so far still is taking Ferguson instead of Ollie Gordon. I should have done that. Dumb, especially with Kittle already on the roster. That's where it's like you want to have correlation. You want it to be a bet that makes sense. So Prescott, right? Yeah, I got to get his receivers. And maybe I won't regret it. I do think Ferguson has some real upside, but now you're contending with George Pickens, whereas I could have gotten that rookie running back, Ollie Gordon, that I think could be this season difference maker. I would have preferred doing that for sure. So my one regret on this one, that's why I'm going to do 5 of them this morning, is to kind of talk through, feel out the drafts. You guys are more than welcome to hang out for as many of them, as few of them as you want, but would be happy to keep the conversations rolling. Snyder saying he's interested in Neighbors. Have feeling the Giants fans in the draft may go. And so if they go and reach on him, that means one of Jefferson, CD, Barkley, Gibbs. If Neighbors gets reached on, one of the big 6. I consider the first round. There's an article on the site. It's also in the draft guide too. The whole first round, right? I do consider the first round a big six of players. And well, I mean, the first round still players, but I do think there's a clear divide between the top six and then like from 7 to honestly 17, really. All those guys are first rounders to me. And so I do think if one of those big six falls to you at 7, boom, that's huge. That's incredible value. So yeah, and if not, Neighbors is a great fallback plan. Are you a Giants fan, Schneider? Are you from that area? Because that is totally what happens. I'm a New England fan. I'm a Pats fan. We do an auction. I love Trevion Henderson. I want him on my teams. He's probably going to go for like the same, like $10 cheaper than Bijan. You just got to know these things heading in, and that's why auction drafts are so fun too. So I encourage anybody out there that has not done an auction draft, see if you can get a league that does one. It is the best way to draft. We have a great free resources on our site. Our man Jackson Barrett does it every year. He's got this little machine that you can download, and you run whatever projections you like the most, make your own projections even. You run that through, and it'll spit out what, based on VORP, value, and what those price. And so I'm a huge fan of Jackson, very smart guy, very great tool. And so if you do auction drafts, make sure to check it out. If you don't do auction drafts, what are you doing? Is how I feel about that. I am probably going to look into 3 quarterbacks. Again, you want them stacked, but Geno, Donta Thornton, unfortunately, is already gone. He'd be a tough one to backstack, but Cam Ward, you could kind of slap in and get Io Manor, who was one of my favorite sleepers as well. Let me see who the Panthers face week 10 matchup, because I would have both quarterbacks on bye. Week 10 Saints. So that's probably a pretty good matchup. Yeah, I'm gonna go Cam Ward and then Elick Io Manor over here. One of my favorite late round sleepers at wide receiver. This team's coming together quite nicely, in my opinion. It's funny to see like Rachaad White still lingering there, and nobody wants him. I don't blame him here. So let's kind of review the team here, and then we'll get back to any questions, comments you guys have for sure. But thank you again so much. Well over 350 or so with you here. Any thumbs up, buttons, hearts, likes, retweets, all that stuff gets us out to more people, and it is greatly appreciated. So thank you guys so much. I had one of my boys say, "Are you still going live?" I'm saying, "Yes, I am. Come join the live show. Ask some questions. Draft day." So yeah, everyone in the league's from Long Island, but we have a couple guys who like out-of-state teams. So what's your team, Snyder? I don't care about the rest of your league. I want to know what do you like? Who's your team, Schneider? Let me know for sure. Let me just pull off the comments though for a second so you guys can see how these wrap up. But I'd love to know who your team is so far. So let's review the squad as it's coming back to me. So we went 11th pick, Brian Thomas, Ashton Genty, George Kittle, Devontae Adams, a very nice core here, especially with Stafford coming back. I like that little price dip on Adams. I think it's phenomenal there. Chuba Hubbard here, a guy that I don't have a ton of, but I do really like. Typically, I'm going RJ Harvey there. He's already gone. And so I thought Chuba just a nice volume bet, and we have the Panthers bet going now, so even more correlated. So big fan of that. Rashee Rice, wide receiver 1 after week 6, comes right into the lineup. Hopefully, Juwan Jennings can help sustain that absence and actually plays in week 1. But that's a guy I was drafting at 62 all offseason. Now he's going 83. I maybe take locked, but I still think he could be. I like Ricky Pearsall more now, but they've essentially flipped spots in ADP. And I was loading up Pearsall when he was at 80s alongside Jennings. I was kind of stacking them both. But I do think there's a lot of value still. He had like a 40-point day. He was the wide receiver 1 for large stretches of the season. Should he have been healthy all camp, I think we would have left him exiting camp as that. And I think Pearsall might be. If I had to pick one or the other, it would definitely be Pearsall at this point. Jennings still easily could be their number 1, though. So I like that value on him. Charbonnet, a guy I'm trying to stuff my bags, a little reach there, but definitely ending out draft season. Shaheed, then I had a naked Dak, stacked him with Ferguson and Blue to get a bit of that offense. We are up in a pick, so I'm going to queue up Just a few guys here to wrap up the draft. I really like Kyle Monungai, a nice sleeper pick. Alec Pierce would also give me some week 17 correlation and just some more wide receiver firepower as well. So those are two of the guys I'm looking at. I did want to add more Monungai. He's being talked about as the running back 2 in this offense by the coach there. I do want to at least consider another running back, though. I'm not enamored with the guys I have, but the guys out here, I just also am not enamored with. I do have heavy bags of Alec Pierce, but again, it correlates with that matchup I really, really like here. The Colts versus the Jaguars in week 17. You're playing for that, all that money. He could catch himself a 20-yard bomb, and they're talking about him trying to expand his route tree a bit more. But there's days that he looks like the true number 1 wide receiver. So yeah, we wrapped up the draft here. Jalen Coker, another big reach, but another guy I'm trying to stuff my bags with. Any draft you do, his ADP says 170. He's going in the 150s in every single draft I do. So ultimately, I have no issue at all going him there. And then wrapping up with some running back sleepers, Kyle Monungai, a guy I'm really targeting. I like Chris Rodriguez a lot. He was already gone. He's somebody I often look at in this range, the 180s, just to get a piece. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, of course, I love him. I mean, where did he go in this one? Like Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt watch. Or did they change his name? Oh, I'm just going to search Merritt. There he is, Cross-Merritt. 92 overall. Like, could he pay that off? Certainly. Maybe he is this year's Bucky, but what made Bucky so special was the fact that he was going so cheap, right? We're not getting that right now with Cross-Merritt. Chris Rodriguez started over him, excuse me. And they're saying he's the goal line guy. So I just, I like Cross-Merritt a ton. To me, why is he going 40 picks ahead of Jadon Blue, 30 picks ahead of Bashal Tootin, Braylon Allen, some of these great running back sleepers, right? Doesn't make sense to me. Alrighty, and then we stacked Coker, Bryce Young, got Cam Ward. Between those quarterbacks, I did want a 3-quarterback build. I was on the fence of whether I should go Cam Ward or Cam Ward or Geno. Geno really went late because I really do like Geno. That is an insane value. Aaron Rodgers out of Geno, disgusting. And then wrapped it up with Io Manor, who's looking like Calvin Ridley's the clear number 1, wide open for the number 2 job. So far this preseason, he's shown a great rapport with Ward. And we're talking about a guy in Io Manor who put up against Travis Hunter like 13 catches, 190 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The number 2 pick of this year's draft. Io Manor crushed him more than anybody else crushed him. And we're talking one game. That wasn't on the season. One game, he lit him up. He's a baller. I really am a huge fan of him. Big body, classic X, good contested catch guy. Huge fan of him. Think he's going to be one of those real steals this year. Wrapping up with Kyle Monungai. I like DeAndre Swift. I think he's a great mid-round breakout. Doesn't have the best bill of health on his career. And it seems like Monungai is clearly ahead of Roschon Johnson. And even if DeAndre Swift stays healthy all year, we know Ben Johnson has preferred committees. And I go with Alec Pierce, who he had 4 or 5 top 12 games last year. To get that in the last round, I know he would have benefited from Richardson being a quarterback. I'm guessing Richardson will be at quarterback at some point. He's my highest receiver right now in best ball. So we are now going to jump into our second draft here. So let me get the board open, and that way it starts in 20 seconds. Got pick 2. So we're going to see 2 very different approaches. We had the 11th pick last time. Now we're going to be at the top of the draft here. And I know a lot of people are getting spicy with their takes and saying Gibbs' 1 week ceiling is way higher than Bijan. I look at Bijan, and from week 5 on, averaging 23 points per game. The amount of 20-point weeks this guy had was absolutely insane. And with Michael Penix, it was unbelievable. Plus, he talked about how, he recognized the fault in his game, which is not enough big plays, not enough explosives. And that's what he worked on all offseason. So give me Bijan all day, huge receiving workload. They really turned the keys over, and their offense took it to a huge next step. So I'm in love with Bijan. I am not avoiding him at number 2. I know some people are talking about Gibbs having higher, and he does that. If something happens to David Montgomery, nobody. I'd rather have Gibbs than Chase. Gibbs should be the 101 in that case. But if that's your argument, then yeah, take Gibbs over Chase, right? You're not going to do that. If Montgomery's still there, this is still probably a 60-40 split. Gibbs is my running back too and my number 3 overall, so I don't mean to bash a player I am in absolute love with, but I do think people are getting a little cute. And when I say people, very smart people. So like, listen to me, listen to them. They are one of them being like a million. He's won this whole tournament before. Pat Crane, he says he'd have Gibbs over Bijan. Doesn't like Bijan much this year. I respectfully disagree. He also has won way more money than I have, so it's good to see different takes right out there. Let me see if there's any other questions or comments. It is an open mailbag. So depressed Jets fan, yeah, very depressing, and it doesn't look like we have any more sunlight coming your way, Mr. Schneider. I think Field stinks. He looks just god-awful. So we'll find out, but you should be depressed. And the Pats are on the rise, baby. So the AFC rivals over there. We used to have – remember those games? Like Chad Bennington was a baller. I know he doesn't get the respect he deserves, but we would have some great games. Vinny Testaverde. Those Pats days were just the best back in the man. Give me some nostalgia here, Michael Snyder, just living out those glory days. But guys, the point of this show is, of course, an AMA. Ask me anything. I know it's the biggest draft day of the year, so whatever questions you have, do you have a keeper situation? Do you have a draft you just did and you want me to grade? I don't care what it is. What I want to do is help you guys out. That's the point of this. I'm just going to keep streaming drafts because I have 5 more to kill, but I do want to answer any questions that you guys have while we go. So fill up that mailbag, text me any questions that you got, and we will make sure to cover them. That is the point for today. And I will just pump, of course, the draft guide here. Nothing I work harder on the entire season. $25 get you the round by round game plan. Round 1, round 2, round 3 to 5, who your targets, who your fades. George Kittle, the best pick in fantasy football. So you can kind of get a sense of what I'm doing. Round 6 to 8, take all your receivers. There's a whole round by round list. There's the macro, the overview of what makes a league winner. How do you find them? I promise you'll come out of your drafts better for reading it. The reviews are always phenomenal. Everyone is so kind in the feedback that they have given. So please do consider supporting your boys. The only thing I charge for, the rankings on the site, free, updated for today, right? Ready for draft day. Let's go. The draft guide updated for today, for draft day. Let's go. All righty. And we are 1 pick away. I love both of the guys available. So I'd be intrigued to know if he does not go. So he goes Chase Brown. That's who I was leaning. But I am more than happy to pair up Brock Bowers, the elite tight end prospect, who I think is going to be going in round 1 as like the next Travis Kelce next year. Happy to pair those two up with 0 questions asked. I'd like T and Ladd in these next 2 here. Get a little wide receiver firepower. In particular, T gives you that chance to stack with Burrow. I do have the Chase Brown team right in front of me, so that might not happen. You got a classic stack there with Chase, McBride, game stack there. But Ladd is the better just like overall pick and player here. So man, that's a tough one. I am going to go – I don't have a lot of Ladd, but once he hits round 3, I am into it. So I'm going to go Ladd there. As much as if I knew Burrow would fall to me where he's like falls in the 6'11 right here, right? Like scoop him up all day. Be happy to. But I figure with the Chase Brown team right here, that's risky. Oftentimes Burrow just goes naked in this area, and I don't blame people. It's like Burrow at the 65, why not? This guy's insane. He had 35 points in week 17 last year. Yeah, it'd be nice to have Higgins with him, but he's huge. He's crazy. The other guys I was considering, Omari and Hampton, unbelievable running back there. Already had Bijan, wanted to get a little bit of a wide receiver firepower there. Not opposed to a running back tight end spot by any means. But now that Najee is looking at least like he could play in week 1, the whole reason I like Najee or Omari and Hampton this high was because I thought Najee might start the season on the PUP, give that runway to Hampton. I still like him early, mid-third, no doubt about it. I think he's kind of built that lead and won't turn it over. But we might get Najee a little more sneakily involved and annoyingly involved in the beginning of the season than expected, and that does hurt Hampton a little bit, in my opinion. And so I go Ladd in a wide receiver obsessed site, a guy I don't have a ton of. I love Justin Herbert stacks this year. I mean, you can push Herbert. He sometimes falls like, I know he'll be like there at 122. I've seen him in the 143 range. But he's also back stackable, so I don't know if I'll take that risk this year, or rather this draft. So we'll see how the board lies, how it plays out from here for there. So let's if I saw, yeah, we got Daniel Culkeen. Everyone buy the guide, best content out there. Truly best value in fantasy industry. Thank you so much, Danny Culk. I appreciate it. Love to see you. Surprised I didn't get a super chat to strip for you on draft day. I was actually kind of hoping you would ask me to show some more skin for you. But no, I love having you. Let me know, Culk, what questions you have. I know the big draft, the big day is coming up. You got a pretty good locked-in plan here for sure. Would you pick Coker over Cooper? Absolutely. Stephen Drake's Cooper, nobody wanted for the last however many months. It was a fine deal that he signed by the Raiders, but like, I like Dante Thornton there. I think Dante Thornton is the sleeper you want for the Raiders. And so, yeah, I think Coker coming in that slot role, we know that when he's played, especially when he's played without Thielen there, I think it was like a 23% target share, 12.5 points per game average. Holy Cross boy, Jalen Coker, big slot body. Oh, yeah. Love that big power slot for sure. Would you take awesome? Good questions coming in. This is why we're doing this, folks. I do have to pick, so let me hold that thought right there, and we will get to that one in just a second. JMO went. JMO is the one I was eyeing up here. I think this is a good value on Worthy, though. Rashee Rice gone for the first 6 weeks. What if he ends up showing like, I should be your screen guy. I should be the guy you're hammering and peppering. It's very possible. Now, I know I talked a lot about stuffing my bags with Charbonnet, which I plan to do because I'm worried about Ken Walker's injury history. That being said, if we do get a fully healthy season out of Walker, huge if, missed 6 games last year, has never missed less than 3. Walker is just an insane stud, though. And like we talked about the Kubiak scheme, you get nobodies going in there. Olandis Gary, Mike Anderson, and they're ripping off 1,000 yards like it's their job. You get studs, Terrell Davis, Arian Foster, Clinton Portis, right? And they go for 2,000 yards and go bananas. Not that Ken Walker's on that level quite yet, but I mean, I don't know. He's got that insane 4.4 speed. The breakaway rate, the after contact was the best in the league last year. I think he could just go absolutely apeshit in this scheme. Pardon the language. I know Brody sometimes watches these. My nephew, don't want to swear when you tune in, but he could go bananas. And maybe I just take Charbonnet later, stack it up, and just guarantee myself a true RB1 for the rest of the season. All right, Yak, back to your question, though. Would you take CD third if you're not confident a top 10 wide receiver falls in the second round? 10-man league, start 3 receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex, or just run it with Gibbs? I'm just running it with Gibbs, Yak. I understand it. I love CD, especially if this is full PPR. It'd be good to know you're scoring. If it's half PPR, you don't even think twice. You just go to the running back. If it's full PPR, I do get your pause. But yeah, I talk about this a bunch in the guide where there's this pocket of receivers, especially in a 10-man league, where we're looking like round 5 with Cortland Sutton onward to round 9, where you can get like Sutton, Pickens, Addison, Travis Hunter, these insane upside swings at wide receiver. And so I love having like my stable, my horses, my bell cows ready to roll, ready to take the field, the flock of cows. I like my elite tight end. And then I just love hammering those wide receivers in that range. And so in a full PPR, I see the pause. CD 2 years ago outscored what Chase just did this last year, and Chase was insane. And I think they're going to be the NFC version of the Bengals. I've said that a bunch on tape here. So I like it. I get CD there, but I cannot pass up on one of those big 3 running backs. I'm going Gibbs. Even in a full PPR, I'm going Gibbs. I see the pause. I understand why. I see Burrow go here. That's why I'm happy I went Ladd over T now, who I have ranked there. It was more so, would I get him to fall? Yeah, I'm running that with Gibbs and just kind of figuring out that the great pocket of value wide receivers there. So much. Calvin Ridley. I mean, we can look at some of the names right now as we're drafting. Even in best ball, like a wide receiver heavy format, you're seeing these guys, Diggs, Golden, Rashee Rice. I know you have the suspension, but wide receiver, top 5 wide receiver once he's back for you. Ted McMillan in redraft, he falls to the 50s. Pearsall, huge breakout. There's so many, too many names. And Buka, I love him. Like, I can get excited about any of these guys. So to me, I like having shots available. I don't want too many receivers full out my lineup yet. Obviously, best ball is a little different. I got to go RJ Steve Harvey here, falling all the way to 71. I get it. Maybe Dobbins is the starter to start the year. Consider me non-concerned with that take. RJ Harvey is so explosive, so dangerous in a Sean Payton scheme. I'll take him at 55. So 71. Andy game stacks with the Chiefs with Worthy over there. Absolute no-brainer to me. One guy I haven't drafted a ton of, and I'm going to take him now because I don't want to be completely without him, is Jerry Jeudy. And the reason why I've switched a little bit, not a target for me, but when he falls this far, I'll do it. Joe Flacco, starting quarterback, and probably not the whole year. I understand that. But maybe they can win with Flacco. And if they're even 500, they're going to keep rolling him out. And Flacco's been like a sneaky kingmaker at wide receivers. If you look at Josh Downs with Flacco versus Richardson, and I know Richardson's the lowest of the low, but he went from wide receiver 14 with Flacco to wide receiver 50. And Flacco, last time he was with the Browns, Amari Cooper, if you guys remember, he was the wide receiver 1 for the last 5 weeks when Flacco started. David Njoku was the tight end 1 when Joe Flacco started. I'm okay betting on a Joe Flacco offense. My whole fade on Jerry Jeudy was he was a product of Jameis Winston because he was. If you do the splits of Winston games versus non-Winston games last year, Jeudy was trash. Trash is a little extreme, but it was 9 points per game versus 18 points per game. I mean, it was a wide split. And so I was kind of fading Jeudy on the sense of we're going to deal with Dylan Gabriel, or we're going to deal with Shador, or worst of all, we're going to deal with Kenny freaking Pickett, right? Now we got Flacco here, and I'm changing my stance on Jeudy. I'm changing my stance on Njoku. I'm not going out of my way, but when they fall to the right prices, I think at least you got a first half of the season where those guys could go bananas. Jeudy's a great – if you have Rashee Rice, Jeudy's has Flacco for probably those full 6 weeks. And Jeudy can be not a guy I planned to hype up much this offseason, a guy I had faded for a lot of it. And then as Flacco built more and more buzz, I'm going into Jeudy on the teams that make sense. And when he has this type of value, I think it makes some sense. Let's get back to the mailbag here and what you guys have. So we were just answering that one on, again, I go running back there. Thoughts on non-QB stacks like Jamar Chase Brown? Love it, Rashee. I mean, I would, if you go that, I'd probably go out of my way to get Burrow and just monopolize every touchdown of a very high-scoring offense. But you're also doing a lot of that work when you have Chase and Brown, Chase and Chase. It's a great pairing, great duo, great law form, Chase and Chase over there. I think it's fine, but I also would be why not? Are you going out of your way to avoid Burrow in that situation? Or are you just yeah, I'm not going to force him in there? I would want Burrow in there. I would probably reach close to a full round if I had both Chase and Jamar. Maybe not in best ball because you can get that value on him, but in redraft, if I'm making my bet, give me the quarterback that's also going to score 30 points a week with those guys too. So I think it's fine. It depends on the offense though. I don't think the Bengals are the best example of where I would like that. I'll try to think of some that might work out there that I'd be okay with. But it is about to be our pick. The Colts guys do fall. And with Daniel Jones, the way he peppers his slot, I'm going to go Josh Downs 10 picks below ADP, get my 4th wide receiver here. I think I really like Josh Downs. Anytime he's available, he's a stud type of guy. So I have no issue there. And I think this is where I am trying to get some of this guy in. It's I know his price is skyrocketed. I know I was just talking about how is he going? Oh, there he goes. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. Damn it. Well, that's annoying. I think I'll probably go Shaheed, a best ball, just absolute steal. Baker's very tempting here, but it's who do you backstack him with at this point? White and you used to be able to do a Buka up in this range. So I'm just going to go Shaheed. Because my receiver room does still need some firepower for sure. I was hoping maybe Bo Nix would be there and I could stack him with Harvey. It's a justifiable stack. Nah. So we'll see what values kind of make their way back. But we got Geno we can potentially do. I might toss in Flacco. No one's drafting Flacco because he's probably not going to be there in week 17. I get why no one's drafting Flacco, but What if he does play all the games? He'll probably, I bet you Flacco, if he played all the games, would finish top 10 quarterback. I know it's crazy, but in fantasy, the guy puts up numbers. We can get Daniel Jones late, but he's also similar to Flacco. Like at that point, I might just take Flacco because you're making the same bet. A starter that probably won't make it all the way through the year there. Let's get back to the mailbag, though, and we'll figure out this quarterback situation in a little bit. That's a good way to see how to punt it. But again, Rishi, I'm okay with non-QB stacks. I don't think the Burrow, this is a good example, like because Burrow does have that huge ceiling. I think like, Downs and Taylor, that makes sense. I don't need Daniel Jones for it. You know what I mean? Even like the Chiefs, I don't love Pat Mahomes, but I'm cool with like Pacheco Worthy or Pacheco Rice. There's some teams where it does make sense. I like the Chargers, but if you had like Hampton, McConkey, I don't think Herbert's like a must draft. But I just think the example you picked with the Bengals guys, like you want Burrow because he's just got such a crazy ceiling too. What's up, brother? What's up, Gabriel? Would you trade Waddle for Keon and Tootin in Dynasty on the Waddle side? Oof. I'll preface this. Great question. I'm not a Waddle guy. I won't lie. He's always hurt. He's always dinged up. There's always something going on there. I love Tootin too. And I could see the Keon. It's one of those things though. It's like, it's a really hard one because like Tyreek's on his back nine for sure. Let's say Waddle has a massive year. All the camp reports were like he's kind of taken over for Hill. He's looking like the one. He's dominating joint practices. I don't know. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. If that's the case, I just need like one more year to be patient. And he's the true wide receiver one. McDaniels finds his groove again. They're all cooking. Give up a year too early. That would hurt, right? I like the guys you're asking about, though. I like Keon Coleman. I like Tootin. I think you can get a little bit more. I think you try to get a pick mixed in there, right? I think if you toss that into a dynasty trade calculator, I'm guessing the Waddle side is viewed more valuably. I think it's a fair enough trade right now because I have a very high opinion of the guys you're asking about. But I would see if you can get a little bit more squeezed out of that is what I would go with here. That's my recommendation. Very good question. A very tough one there for sure. All righty. And what are your thoughts on Loveland over Warren? Great question. I'm up in a pick, so I will get to that one in just a second. Tucker Kraft was the guy I was eyeing here. I don't want to get too cute and just have like Justin Herbert get sniped from me. I don't think he will, but I'm going to add him. Quarterbacks are getting ugly right now. So I wanted to make sure I get him. I love JJ McCarthy to break out. I don't know who you backstack him with necessarily. Jordan Love also kind of tough, but you got Romeo Doubs at least to potentially backstack with. I also have Penix later with Bijan I could do, and then Geno with Bowers. So I'm going to avoid quarterback. I'm going to take one of my favorite back-weighted bets, and that's Luther Burden when you can get him on a nice value. He's been going, so I was talking. If I didn't have Bowers, I think David Njoku is very, very tempting here. Now, I think, with Burden, you're not getting much probably through their first 5 weeks. They have a week 5 bye. I think that post-bye bump is going to hit insane. And so if you really want to take like Zacchaeus late and just kind of take the slot receiver production, I am a believer in Burden. I saw him like blocking his ass off in the preseason, which I think is going to go a very long way to making him a potential stud in here. So my goal at quarterback here on out, I'm hoping that the Drake London owner, where is he? He's got Daniels and Fields already, so I'm hoping he passes on Penix. I can stack up Penix and Bijan. And then I can look at Geno in this 167. I've got a nice 3 QB build, Herbert, Penix, and Geno all stacked up. Nice, ready to go. You can even get Ray McLeod late. Not sexy, but he's an option. I've never drafted Ray McLeod in my life. I'm not sure why I'm recommending him right now. What are your thoughts on Loveland over Warren? So I go Warren, Kyle Siebert. So this question could be you two ways, like as an actual prospect or as a fantasy prospect. As an actual prospect, I like Loveland going over Warren. I think he's the more complete tight end. I think he's the better actual route runner. Fantasy-wise, though, Warren lands in a situation where the rub on him is it's all gimmicky, it's all schemed. That's why he had such a crazy season. And sure it was. Like, it's dink and dunk. Yeah, go do your thing. The guy's a bull with the ball in his hands, and it sounds like everything in the Colts camp is dink and dunk and let the man go do what he needs to do with the ball in his hand. Okay. He could be their true number one wide receiver as a rookie tight end. Would not shock me at all. So personally, I am definitely going Warren over Loveland in fantasy. In dynasty, probably still too. I think that, again, if your knock on him is he's schemed up too much volume, but then everything, he's so dependent on screens. He's so dependent on like having it be forced to him. But everything about what the Colts did this preseason and the action and in training camp from the beat writers, they are forcing feeding him the ball just like he was in college. And all he did was produce. He can go in the backfield. He can move around. And they talked about that versatility being why they love him. So I go Warren personally. That being said, you want Loveland. I mean, you're talking about Sam Laporta role for a more athletic Sam Laporta. There's scouts that came out and said, like, this is a scary fit because Loveland's a better prospect than Sam Laporta, more athletic than Sam Laporta. Loveland could be deadly too. So I love both these guys. If I don't get, so you saw me take Bowers in this draft. And I do typically like getting a big 3 tight end. I think it's a huge edge this year. If I miss, I am most often going for at least one of those rookies, Warren and sometimes both. I think that is a great pocket. That Warren, Loveland, you toss Tucker Kraft in there, right? Those guys, if I miss on the elite tight ends, round 9, 10, banking both of those guys, I think is a phenomenal way to still give your tight end room some serious juice. Wouldn't be shocked if any of those guys ended up in the top. Great mailbag we got filling up here too, folks. Love to see it. Thank you so much. Magic Mike, you will be up next. Love to see you here with me today. But we will be on the clock shortly with a lot of running backs I like up here. So I'm going to go with the guy I said I've been trying to stuff my bags with. I would just be kicking myself if I don't get him, and that's Ollie Gordon. Want to make sure I'm leaving almost all of these drafts. And Braylon Allen goes, who was one of the ones I queued up. Thought about going him, but I have a good amount of him already. I love the pick. I love the Braylon Allen pick. And then you folks know who I'm going. But I did talk about wanting to get my quarterback. He did fall to me. It's going to be very hard to not take Jadon Blue here. But I have like 48%, so I'm going to get Penix. I need a QB. I'll do the smart thing. Penix would not be making it back to me. Oh, but it's so hard to leave Jadon Blue sitting there staring me in the face. Goodbye, Blue. You're my boy, Blue. I'll miss you. That's tough. But that's why I don't mind getting 2 quarterbacks early, because I really like this pocket of running backs. I like to come across with 2 of them. Magic Mike asking, love seeing what you're doing. The best feed in the community, the sharpest insights of the game. Thank you so much, Magic Mike. I appreciate it. Doing my best, because I'm also feeding a 5-month-old daughter these days. It's been the joy, the light of my life having Josie. Definitely has changed how much time I can give to these streams, give to the people out there, but still keeping up with the rankings every day. We'll have them for you every season. We'll definitely be doing the Sunday morning streams, probably doing the Thursday streams. We'll say it now, the waiver wire streams aren't going to be happening, daycare duty, all that. It's just too much prep, not enough views. But I will definitely be doing the Thursday pre-games, the Sunday morning pre-games for the lives, and I'll still be doing the rankings every week and trying to hit an article or 2 on my favorite streamers every week as well. So I'll do my best. I got to feed the fam first. But you guys help me feed the fam too. The support for the draft guide this year, honestly, so overwhelming. It's going to honestly put, it was enough to put her through daycare for the first, not that we needed the draft money. We're both teachers. We're both stable jobs, but teachers aren't the craziest jobs. So to have that extra, as we tackle this huge financial burden right now for the first time, we got enough sales with the draft guide. And of course, if you want more sales, the better give them to me, right? But we did enough that it would cover pretty much the entire fall of daycare if any emergency situation happened through Fantasy Football Guide. You guys are so generous. I will take the opportunity. I'm going to do this throughout the stream. Sorry in advance for those of you who've been here for this top and the guide again, really. I do want to sell some. Again, it's draft weekend. I promise this is the best draft guide out there. Second in multi-year accuracy the last 3 years. Number 6 in 2024 accuracy for pre-draft specifically too. And I think this is just absolutely loaded over almost 200 pages here of all you need. I'll kind of show you. You can see some cute pictures of the girl. Only paying subscribers get those. But all the data, all the analysis that you need from a macro, from a micro. I think it will help you crush it. But honestly, again, even if we sold no more guides the rest of the weekend, we've sold enough that like we're going to be able to put Josie through daycare and have a really nice cushion to make sure everything's good. So thank you guys so much for your support out there. It truly means the world. I feed you guys your fantasy stuff, but you guys have been feeding me and helping me make sure to keep everyone fed over here as well. Let's get back to the draft over here. I'll get back to the draft board after that rant. But if you want to get the draft guide, just go to rotostreetjournal.com. Draft guide is right there at the top. I should, I'll see if CJ can add the link to the description right now. Guide link to the description. And that way it's easier for sure. All righty. So we got a good question. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore your question, Kulk, while self-promoting over here. We know Bill Krosky, Jadon Tootin. Who are the highest upside receiver sleepers? Great question here. Although I am on the clock, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we are. We have Bowers. I'm just going to queue up. I'm going to queue up Geno. Finish off that stack. Hope Hunter Henry makes it back to me. I'm not paying enough attention to what my opponents are doing. He had two quarterbacks, probably wasn't drafting Dak anyways, or Geno rather. So I'd love if Hunter Henry can make his way back to me. Great tight end sleeper here. And then we'll get into some of my favorite wide receiver sleepers, Kulk, for sure. And he does make it back. Jalen Coker, though. He's the bag stuff right now. And I have Bowers, so I don't need – I'm going to keep stuff in the bag. I'm a cokehead, baby. Jalen Coker. All the cokeheads reunite. Let's go. Oh, great stuff. Like I said, I'm trying to get him in every draft. So speaking of wide receiver sleepers, Kulk, Jalen Coker, one of my favorites that's only recently emerged, but we have Adam Thielen moved over to Minnesota, which he's actually a nice wide receiver sleeper now himself. Opens up that slot role for a guy that didn't play a ton, but when he played, he was a clear slot guy, like 75% of his routes from the slot. And then ultimately, he was very high targeted. It's a role. We see what, Thielen can do from the slot, right? Multiple stretches. To begin 2 years ago was the wide receiver 2 behind only Chase. And then, last year to close out the season was a top 15 wide receiver for your final 5 weeks. It's a very fantasy-friendly role. And I think Coker is very capable of doing more with it than what Thielen did. And so, yeah, I am really into Jalen Coker. I think he is a great wide receiver sleeper. I love Torrey. So I'm going to look at the draft board, but looking at the queue, I love Torrey Horton. Teammates calling him, mini Jerry Rice. And he beats out MVS, who gets cut for the deep threat role because of how good he was in camp. And I know it's a run-heavy scheme, but the deep threat in this offense is actually very, very valuable. So I love Torrey Horton. I like Elic Ayumanor a ton. We drafted him in the last one with Cam Ward. I know you love Calvin Ridley, Danny Kulk. And I think he is the number 1, but they need a number 2. And if Ridley's working out, it's because Ward's working out. If Ward's working out, he's going to sustain at least 2 mouths. I think Ayumanor hanging 13 catches, 190, and 3 touchdowns on Travis Hunter. I love it. Give that to me all day. Inject that into the veins. So I'm a big fan of Ayumanor. Where did he go? Yeah, he went 165. And then where did Thornton go? He's my other Dante Thornton. Oh, yeah, 141. So he's really flown up. And I know Cooper landed there. We're talking 4'3" at 6'5", joining Calvin Johnson and DK Metcalf as the only athletes that big to run that fast. And in camp, back shoulder touchdowns. And yeah, he's a deep threat, averaged over 25 yards per reception last year, 3 yards per route run. Insane efficiency, but he's out to prove like I'm more than just a deep threat. But starting from week 1, clearly has a role because he's going to stretch the field, and Geno's a top 5 deep passer. So, Dante Thornton might be my favorite sleeper of the wide receivers. I do have an article. If you don't have the guide and you want some previews, again, I know I keep pumping the guide, right? I do plenty of free previews though, where I wrote an article on my 10 favorite sleeper. The guide has 30 of them, right? But I did 10 of I didn't pick all my favorites, but I picked 10 of my kind of favorites. They're on the website for you for free. I believe Thornton is in that list for sure. And now we are going to be up. We definitely need some running back juice. We have Walker, Harvey, and Bijan, though. So I don't know that I need more than 5. I have Ollie Gordon, too, one of my favorite sleeper running backs. DJ Giddens winning that clear running back 2 job, very intriguing to me. I also love Harold Fannin. So I'm going to go Harold Fannin. I missed on Njoku, but we're talked about that. I bet he's running all the routes with the ones. And so I like Harold Fannin a ton. And athletic, we're talking about a guy that had 1,500 yards and 115 catches as a tight end. Yeah, it's Bowling Green, but like insane production. So it was, as we talk about sleepers, I wanted to highlight one of those. I'm going to go DJ Giddens, and then we'll see whether we go running back, receiver. I like Troy Franklin here. That he's a guy I'm trying to add quite a bit at the end of draft season as well in terms of like sleepers. But I do have Justin Herbert, so like Keandre Lambert Smith could be a nice little last round dart throw as well, for sure. So Colt, let me know if that gave you enough of the sleeper wide receivers for sure. I want to see if I can bump this up so I'm not like that might help it. I don't, but I'm covering the last few picks, so that does not actually help it. Because when I pull in the comments, like it blocks the picks from you guys who are watching. All right, Magic Mike, let's get some questions here for you. Here's my 12. Keep the mail. Geez, Josie needs some fall pumpkin swag. Send your super chats community. Thank you so much. I'm surprised there's not a stripping comment there added. I just saw that, Colt. Thank you so much for the support. I don't know if you've seen the pic yet, Colt. I'll text it to you in a second. Josie and the RSJ swag, unbelievable. We got her in some RSJ onesies. We got the sleeper clothing line that we're gonna launch there. So yeah, thank you so much. Of course, super chats are so appreciated. I always give them priority. Certainly not necessary, but so appreciate. Thank you so much, Colt. We'll get her in pumpkin swag. We'll get her in RSJ swag. You're the man. Thank you so much for the support, brother. Magic Mike asking, here's my 12-team PPR main draft from the 7th spot. McCaffrey, Hall, Montgomery, Robinson, Tootin, Blue, Hill, Adams, Hunter, Judy, Reed, Palmer, Bowers. Wow. So Bowers, I kind of like this team, but it's missing something. Well, Bowers is the tight end spot. There's your wide receiver one right there. And then Fields and Love. I think it's great, Magic Mike. I'm not a CMC guy. He's burned me too many times. So I'm going to pull the comment off so you guys can see how the draft ends. But I'll keep reviewing your team. I also think at the 7th spot, like he's very hard to pass up. I'm passing him up for Neighbors myself. Won't do CMC again. I've had him twice. He's missed all but 3 games in both those seasons. And to put the cherry on top, every time I don't draft him, I faced him in the playoffs. It was 2 years ago. He had 31 in the semis. The year before that, week 15, or year after that, week 15, I faced him. He had 40. So he's going to bone me either way, right? I draft him. He's going to get hurt and stink. If I fade him, he's going to just crush fantasy, be the most important player, and he's just going to remind me in the playoffs, grab me by the neck, and just say, come here, boy, you're mine. That's what CMC does to me. It sucks. I don't like it. I'm not happy about it. I'm not drafting him, so I think you just got yourself Magic Mike a steal at 7. Like, he's probably going to be the best player in fantasy, but I'm not doing it myself. I think it's great, though, to get Hill and Adams. Like, where did Hall fall to? Because I know Hall, he's like one of my busts to fade, right? But that's at a certain cost. At a certain point, like when he goes to the 50, he must have gone to the 50s for you. Like, you got to just rip it. I am probably looking at Quentin Johnson here, who had that concussion, but he's fine. He's recovered. He scored a ton of touchdowns. He was running ahead of Trey Harris throughout the preseason till he got hurt. I have Justin Herbert, so let's close it out with him right here. Absolutely. I like that team. I really that one I really liked. Whereas the other one, I was like, I wish I went Ollie Gordon and that. No, I'm very happy with that team. So yeah, that's we'll do a quick team review. And that. So Magic Mike, though, just to now that we don't need to see the draft board quite as clearly before I pull it away, just to really review it again. Hill, Adams, Hunter, Judy, Reed would have been. He was one of my guys until 3 days ago, and that anybody that bought the guides also watching this, hopefully you got the update. I sent it out yesterday that Reed has a Jones fracture. I would have loved this receiver room had Reed been fully healthy. He's playing through a Jones fracture. That seems pretty sketchy. So he's become a fade for me. Somebody I have a ton of these best ball drafts, unfortunately, because I love Jaden Reed. When he's healthy, he's so explosive. Thought the role was going to jump. Has a foot fracture. Not great for a wide receiver, right? But ultimately, still like the room even with Reed. And then you got Tootin, one of my favorite Blues. I don't know, Magic Mike, if you bought the guide or not, but Tootin and Blue are both like my 2 favorite sleepers. great running back room to then have Bowers. Like I was looking at the team, like this is pretty good. And then you have Bowers to that. I'm just like, when I review a team, when I can't figure out like how you drafted it, like what, so CMC was 7 and Bowers was probably the next second rounder. Tyreek Hill the 3rd, Devontae Adams 4th. So that means you got Breece Hall in the 5th, Travis Hunter. I can't even figure out how you put it together. That's when you know you have a great squad. I love the squad, even though I'm not a McCaffrey guy, Magic Mike. Understand why. If he stays healthy all year, that team is going to be phenomenal. Even if he gets hurt, he probably still will be pretty good. Need to drop a defense, 2 for a kicker and defense. Oh, man. So I think, I mean, you can't probably drop Reed, but I'd probably drop Palmer. I think, yeah, you got some good vets, and maybe you turn back the clock. I would drop one of your quarterbacks, too. I just don't think you need Fields and Love. I don't really like Fields that much. I don't know. I'm not dropping either Blue or Tootin. Maybe you drop B-Rob. I know it's such a valuable handcuff. I probably would drop B-Rob, honestly. I drop B-Rob and I drop Palmer, I think, is what I would do, Magic Mike. Very tough, though. Very, very tough call, for sure. Alrighty. And we are live for our next one. Ripping these off, folks. Mailbag's still packed, so we will get to those. We are picking from 5, so back towards the top of the draft here. How do I – oh, there we go. There's the button. And so share this tab instead. All right, there we are. So we have the 5th pick, one of my favorites, and we're going to get one of Gibbs, Bijan, or Barkley. Love that at pick 5 because Jalen Hurts went 2. Hopefully this draft stands because that is nuts. Oh, God. This one's probably going to get tossed out. We have to do it because we're on stream and we're live here. Sucks that this is probably going to be a waste with Britt, Josh, and Chanda Wade throwing in 2 brutal picks. But we'll find out. We'll see. I'll draft it as if not, and we'll play from there. All right, Slank asking, I'm in Dynasty. I know you're fading JSN and Mahomes. Would you trade them both for May and a first? So I'm fading them, Slank, in redraft. I don't necessarily fade them in Dynasty, though. I think JSN's an awesome prospect, awesome talent. It's more so like for right now in this Kubiak scheme with Cooper Kupp also nibbling some slot cheese. This year might not be his best year. I love JSN as a prospect. I'm not fading him in Dynasty, Slank. I hope that's clear in the guide. Like that's more of a redraft focus guide. And Mahomes as well. Like eventually they probably will get back to that dynasty. Right. So if it's like Mahomes and JSN compared to May and Golden, long term, I'd rather have Mahomes than May in dynasty. I know I love May this year in fantasy more than Mahomes, but you don't have the sure thing. Like Mahomes might be a little boring. I imagine at some point in his career, we get Mahomes exploding again. And JSN over a Golden, probably, right? At least we know he's good. So I would not do that, Slank. I think, especially if you're going to trade Mahomes, you can get a ton of value. That's like you're probably losing the trade anyways. If anything, it's even. You can get way more from Mahomes, in my opinion, Slank. Full PPR, 12-team, pick 5. Full squad is CD, London, McBride, Daniels, Travis Hunter, Swift, Dobbins, Addison, Chubb, JJ McCarthy. Yeah, I mean, you got some studs. Chubb's also a pretty good 0 running back target. Don't love him long-term, but I think that's a very, very solid. Hold on, I'll have to check that out in a sec. We do have the next pick coming up. I mean, we could go. I'm going to go Bijan. Achane makes me a little sketch. He should be ready for week 1. That would be a fun pairing. I don't really think I have a Bijan Achane team, but I do like opening the door here for potentially Joe Burrow later. Let's see what the Jalen Hurts teams does. What if Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels? What a start. So unfortunately, this one we're streaming is probably going to get tossed. But if it doesn't, we'll be looking at something crazy for sure. I might. What will be fun though, at least, even if this, I haven't shown like a running back build. If Taylor, so Taylor's here. So this would just be fun to experiment. Like, what would a running back, a cows, the bell cows, the udders, time to milk, baby. What would that look like? So this would be a fun one to just at least experiment, right? Even though it's probably going to be sketched. We'll see. Full PPR, 12 team, pick 5, full squad is CD London. So this was the team, the zero running back team. Daniels, oh man, Travis Hunter. So you did go full zero running back. Yeah, you're going to need some more running backs, Giuseppe. So you're running back from Swift, Dobbins, Rashad White, Chubb. So you got like some classic zero running back, like veterans that could kind of bridge it. I got to see some more upside in there, though, Giuseppe. Like, if a zero running back team is going to truly win it by the end, it's because a Bashal Tutin took over the backfield, and now he's averaging 20 points a week. Like, it's good to have a Dobbins that gets you 12 to start the year. It's fine to have a Rashad White that might get you 7 to 8, 10 in a PPR. But you need to win the title. You're going to need the Jadon Blue that, like, took over the Cowboys backfield and now is 20 points a game. Bashal Tutin. Jacory Crosby. If I'm going to really like this team, I love the start. I'm cool with you going zero running back with all the studs you lined up around. Those wide receiver room is crazy in a full PPR. But for it to truly work out, I need to see some more juice for the running backs. So we have some work to do, Giuseppe. We got to clean up that bench, get a little more upside on it. Are you really going to ever start Christian Kirk? I like Christian Kirk a lot in a full PPR. You're going to ever use him? Probably not, for sure. Bucky Irving is a 12th round. That's awesome. 11th overall in snake draft. Would you trade second round pick for 14th overall for 21st? I don't think so, Colk. It's so tough to know without like who's being kept, who might be there at 14th. Text me. You send it into the chat and feel free to text me too, like who you anticipate being there at 14th versus 21st. Like if I knew what the talent was, it's so hard to evaluate in like a keeper league like that though. My knee-jerk reaction is no. I feel like the talent will thin out. But I could be wrong. I am going to probably go, I mean, I'm going to go Garrett Wilson here. I think he's risky, but once you go in round 4, you're overbaking the risk at this point. This is what kind of happens this time of year is the bust articles come out. I had Breece Hall's bust in mind. He's also falling to 50 now. That was when he was priced at like 35, right? So, do I consider him a bust at 50? Hell no. Like, I'd love him at 50. Do I consider Garrett Wilson a bust at 44? Like, how bad can he be? Justin Fields stinks. Looks really bad. Could be bad. But at 44, whereas he was going at like 28 for a lot of the summer, it's a value I can't pass up. 9 picks. I just think the talent is too good there. So, Cole, I'll get to the rest of your question in a sec. But like, let me know what players you're expecting to be available there. A lot of wide receivers I still like here. Sutton went, damn. I was really hoping for Sutton there. Honestly, have him above Garrett Wilson at this point. I was just hoping he might make it back to me. But I think Calvin Ridley, the guy I do want to stuff the bags with a little more. Breece Hall would be nice right here, but I already have the 3 running backs. Sutton would have been real nice had he fallen there. To Britt Josh. Hurts, Daniels, Allen. Nice start. We'll see if this one, if that one pans out. But let me know, Colk, who you kind of have in that range. How about Keon Coleman? I'm not sure what context is in, Kyle. Just like, what's my take on him? There's upside for sure. Second round pick, was kind of getting his groove, looked pretty good last year, and then had the wrist injury. It never really recovered. Now, was it the whole wrist? Was he just not that great by the end? I don't know, but he's looked great in camp by all accounts. He had his ups and downs. There was a quote about maddening inconsistency, but that he's really kind of steadied it out. So I do love it. If you're talking about a Josh Allen offense that needs weapons, could Coleman really develop? Absolutely. I am fully there for you. Draft O'Marion Hampton or Jaden Daniels at the 4-1 pick in a PPR 12-person keepers league. That is very tough, William. I am leaning Hampton, O'Marion Hampton there over Daniels. Of course, it comes down to roster build, who else is on the team. I love both those guys at that price. I think is a steal for either of them. Gun to my head, I don't know what the rest of the team is, William. I'm going to go Hampton. I'm a little worried that Najee's back, but not that worried. Like Hampton's just an elite prospect. Apparently, like all the practice reports, the guy's just going bananas. Clear difference maker on the squad. All righty, and we are up again. Dunze goes the pick before me. But I don't have a lot of Matthew Golden. And he is really trending the right way with Reed trending the wrong way. So I'm going to add some Matthew Golden to the portfolio here. I got him a ton in the early best ball stuff where he was going like the 90s. He just shot up the board and now deservedly so, clearly. It kind of became like him versus Reed for a while. Sadly, was on the Reed side of that most times, but that foot injury has really curbed that enthusiasm for sure. Trevor asking, is there a link to view full draft? So you can see the draft board on the screen. And I'd like to preview at the end. If you'd like, I can, if there's a specific one, shoot me a DM on, you're writing in from X, so you probably follow me. Shoot me a DM if there's a specific draft you wanted to see. If you want all the screenshot of all the drafts, I can send those for sure. No problem, Trevor. I don't know. They might give you a share link, but I know they do it so you can like share your team. I'll check for I'm up on the clock too. But yeah, I will look into that. I do like Pacheco a lot, but I just need receiver way more. Tough spot here. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers. I just need like sure wide receiver points, as boring as it is. That's the one thing, like I like a 3-1 running back start, but it's like, oh, Pacheco fell now is a nice value, but really, can you go him right now? Probably not. Because when's Pacheco getting in my lineup with Chase Brown, Bijan, and Taylor? Probably never. Hopefully never, if my team's panning out. So give me some short volume. Gives me Geno as a potential late stack option, which I love for sure. Kyle Siebert asking, I have Allen, Irving, Worthy, Rice, Pollard, Pickens, Myers. Let me scroll down too so the draft, you guys can see the picks as they're getting made. Allen, Irving, Worthy, Rice, Pollard, Pickens, Myers for my keepers. That's a great keeper team. I've got my eyes on Swift, Ridley, KCM, Keon, Tyler. Yeah, you got your eyes on the right people. I love all those guys. They're all in my draft guide, Kyle. I think the order you wrote them is probably right. Ridley and Swift definitely at the top of that list. I think Ty Warren, especially if you need a tight end, is a phenomenal one to be mixing in there for sure. Rashid, love the draft guide, all the updates. Thank you so much, Rashid, for your support of the draft guide. I greatly appreciate it. Dynasty startup soon. 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, 4 flex. Love that. Not super flex too. Okay, good to know. Strategy's been to hammer wide receiver early, and you're right on it. I know the draft guide's more redraft, but especially in Dynasty, receivers tend to not only preserve but gain value as time goes on, whereas running backs, much more injury prone, much more higher bust rate. Receivers far safer, and in Dynasty, you do want to prioritize safety to keep building out that roster. So yeah, I would fully agree with your assessment. Safer too. I'm going to just take Bo Nix. I want to get some Bo Nix going in here. And I just don't like any of these receivers. I like some of the tight ends. I like JCM and stuff here. But yeah, receivers preserve value, hold value longer, and gain value more often. So I think for sure, of course, if you can mix in a Genti, if you can mix in one of these exciting, Bijan, like those guys are amazing. And if you find that, like, there's only 5 or 6 of those like real dynasty asset running backs. So when you do get the right ones, they're even more valuable than the majority of wide receivers, right? But your mindset's in the right place. I'd be hammering wide receivers, and then you just kind of like rotate the new rookie things into the running back spot, the streamers, the Chris Rodriguez. In Dynasty, I definitely prioritize those. I will say too, though, like if Bowers, you get a chance to get one of those like Bowers, McBride. I know Kittle's on his way out, so he's not quite there. But you have one of those young, I'm going to dominate the league for the next like 10 years at tight end. Think about having Travis Kelce before he broke out. Like that's what Bowers. We already saw it with him. So I'm also a fan of that. Zach Charbonnet falls all the way back to me. And you guys, I know I already have some girthy running backs, but I'm not passing up that value. Want to stuff the bags. I might not draft another running back this entire team. This is one where it could be a 4 running back build. They all have different buys. They're all studs. Charbonnet, when he starts, could actually beat out these guys. Averaged 19.5 points as a starter last year. Was the running back 2 with those numbers. Team didn't need a running back, but none of the receivers were appetizing at that point. So happy to add Charbonnet to this absolute stable of horses. I don't know if this team's going to last because of the weird picks going on at the top of the draft with like Britt Josh, but I mean, they're all around ADP, and so is Chanda Wayne. So maybe this draft does hold. Part of why I wanted to get Bo Nix and get a quarterback is like you see how all these quarterbacks are just getting like plucked and plucked and plucked. So I wanted to get that done early and not have to worry about it too. That's part of reading the draft room for sure. Guy in my league asked me if I would trade Gibbs to him for Bijan. So, I mean, Daniel, is it a keeper league, PPR, whatnot? I prefer Bijan to Gibbs in a 1-year seasonal thing. It's my 2 and 3 overall. Chase, Bijan, Gibbs. If your gut tells you I want Gibbs, I took Gibbs for a reason. There's no need to trade him. Very, very comparable. So do you have to do the deal? No. Do I prefer Bijan to Gibbs? Yes. I wonder why he's looking to make that deal. But yeah, I don't have pick 58 till trade. So yeah, so, maybe Swift, maybe Ridley there, Kyle Seaver, but you're starting with such a great base for sure. Got offered Josh Downs for Braylon Allen, Alex asks. Should I do it? 2 of my favorite sleepers, it really comes down to like, do you need the running back or do you need the receiver? They're both right around same tier for me. Full PPR, I do prefer him a little bit in terms of – all right, hold on. I got to make my picks. Sorry. This is where it's like, all right, Godwin, passes physical off the PUP list, but falling to 116. Maybe he'll never be the Chris Godwin we saw last year. He was the wide receiver too in fantasy before going down. So I'll take the shot at this point of the draft, and see what happens here. Because even if it's like only the last 5 weeks, okay. If it's Chris Godwin, it's Chris Godwin for the last half of the season. Like, that's an insane value. So I like Chris Godwin anywhere in the hundreds. I know I'm on an island there. I know he might never look the same, all that concern, but I'm a Chris Godwin fan, and he fits this room really nicely where I'm going to need layers of receiver production throughout the season. As long as these guys keep me competitive, my running backs are carrying me, and then boom, stretch run, I got a top 10 wide receiver because Godwin's back and Godwin's Godwin. This team would go over the top. So I like it. I do like stacking Knicks with Marvin Mims should Mims make it back to me here, and he does. As much as I do like Njoku there, there's going to be probably a 3 tight end build. I did want to stack up Knicks with something, and I got Mims 7 picks behind ADP. Sweet. Love it. Nice stack for sure. But yeah, again, Alex, that kind of depends on if you need the running back versus the receiver. In a vacuum, I do prefer Downs to Allen, especially if there's any type of PPR in there. My water's right over here, folks. I'm going to go grab that. As we keep it going. Great mailbag so far, guys. Keep the questions coming. Let them just fill it up. That's the whole point of today, is to help you guys get ready for your drafts, review your teams, tell you what moves to make. If your questions, this guy's on the waiver wire, should I add him for him? Let me know. I know this time of year, that's the type of stuff you're looking for, right? But that wraps up all the questions we've got so far. So keep them coming in, guys. Fill up that mailbag. Let me know what is on your mind. So in the meantime, I've been talking about a lot this show, like who I'm trying to wrap up my draft season, adding a lot of. Charbonnet is one of them. Ollie Gordon is one of them. And Jalen Coker is another one. Austin Eckler, who just goes right now, is also very intriguing to me. I don't know why he should be going 30 picks after Bill. I'm a huge fan of Bill. I am. But I think this is one where the hype train has got a little bit off the rails. And I just think people are getting a little ahead of their skis here on Bill Krosky merit. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. All right, so our running backs are stacked. We already got 6 wide receivers. I'm going to go Fergie, get myself like a decent tight end. Guy I haven't barely drafted. I draft twice today on the streams. Don't have a lot of Fergie. Not a guy I'm like necessarily going out of my way to get. But I need a tight end. And I do think I'm going to reach a little bit on a quarterback just because of how far they've gone. Although, there goes Gordon. I was going to say I could get one last Ollie Gordon bag stuff, wrap up my running back room. Oh man, this is. I'll go Jadon Blue. I gotta stay true to the brand here. Jadon Blue. No more running backs on this team. This is going to probably be a 2-5-8-3. When I say that, I'm looking at 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 8 receivers, 3 tight ends. If you're new to the best ball format, is what I'm looking at for this. I can't pass up my boy Blue. That offense is going to need points after points for sure. So yeah, Ollie Gordon unfortunately goes right before me. Guy I want to stuff the bags with, but happy to get my boy Jadon and see how this plays out. And then in terms of recent risers, talking through Coker, we've already talked about him. We haven't talked a ton about the Jaden Reed thing in terms of risers and fallers, but very big injury, Jones fracture. He's been trying to play through. He's going to try to play through. It is weird because the Green Bay medical staff is typically very conservative. So I'm surprised they are letting him play through it. But that's like the bull case, right? It's like maybe it's not that bad because one of the most conservative medical staff is just letting him go out there and run wild. That's the bull case. But the bear case is it's a Jones fracture, a foot injury for a receiver that needs to be explosive. Very scary, very risky. Yeah, it stinks. So we'll find out just how bad it is, and kind of keep going from there. I do need to get a quarterback backup. I'm probably targeting Geno to stack with Myers here. I was interested where Jordan Love went. Okay, so he went 131. So I would have had to take him above Mims, which could have been justifiable, but I did want a weapon to pair with Bo Nix, in addition to probably a Pat Bryant or a Troy Franklin later. And there goes the quarterback parade, including Geno. Well, this will be fun. Okay. Well, I do love Zach Ertz at tight end, especially when I've waited this long. Great value. Tight end 7 last year, but the security blanket all camp, the go-to for Jane Daniels here with McLaurin had been out. Stacks up with Fergie as well. I mean, people forget that he had like an 18-target day this last time out. I think I got to go for Stafford. I mean, when you look at quarterback here, Stafford, Rodgers, Jones, like I know the back thing's pretty messed up for Stafford. But as long as he's healthy, he should have been going 3 rounds ago. And I don't want Rodgers. I don't want Daniel Jones. It's my quarterback too. So we're just going to go Stafford and, maybe take Jake Ferguson brothers as our last pick here at the end of the draft. Because there are some late stacks, Tutu, Ferguson, even what's his name, Whittington. You can kind of toss in there and get some Rams love for sure. All righty. So to review the team, and again, fill up the mailbag, guys. Any questions, comments? I try to do this to support the boys, other the folks that have your drafts going. But there's no more questions. This might be the last draft. I was going to do 5 drafts on stream, but that was in case there's a healthy mailbag. If not, I don't need to do all 5 drafts on stream. I'll start getting ready for my auction draft, preparing with some drinks, perhaps crack the first beer of the day. Nice 11 o'clock. It's a fun day. Draft day is the best. My favorite of the year. Who out there's drafting day? Let me know what you guys got going on, what you're cooking, what draft day snacks you got going. Love it. So to review the team, though, while we wait for it to come back to me, fifth pick, Bijan fell to me because we had some weird action going on here. So we got Gibbs and Barkley going, 6, 7, unbelievable values for those teams. 3 running backs to start, not what I typically do, but when Jonathan Taylor's there in round 3, I'm not going to ignore it. And Garrett Wilson fell all the way in the 4th. We went with Wilson, Ridley, Golden Myers. Give me 4 formidable wide receivers to fill 3 spots. Ideally, when you have these 3 running backs, you're only looking for 3 receivers. Like that went Bo Nix because the quarterbacks were going quite crazy around me. I don't need. I think I'm going to go Troy Franklin, stack him up with Bo Nix. I really just don't need any more running backs. As juicy as I like Chris Rodriguez here. I like Will Shipley. This is not a team that you go 3 running backs early for a reason. And it's not to draft 6 of them. You're banking on your guys hitting big. So I do want to – I like Terrence Ferguson. I don't think I'm going to have any problem. This could be a 4 tight end build, which is very rare of me. But I love Harold Fannin here, and I feel okay with my wide receivers. So I'm going to go Harold Fannin, one of my favorite tight end sleepers. And realistically, so we got 2, 5, 7, 3. I should probably go a wide receiver, especially with Godwin playing banged up to start the year. And I probably will. But look at how ugly it gets. I do like Alec Pierce still. He might still be there. I like Jalen Royals, although he's banged up right now. Zacchaeus is somebody I've been trying to sneak in. And you got Tutu Atwell for the Stafford love. Stafford stack over here. I don't know what happened. So there was like a Tutu Atwell's battling Jordan Whittington for the 3rd wide receiver spot. And then nothing came out as to who won the role or who was doing good. There's a lot of hype. McVay was saying I got to use Tutu more. He's going to ascend this year. And then he was in a battle. And then there was no real word as to who won that battle, which is a little weird and annoying. And so let me see here. Jared Verse. Second year receiver, Jordan Whittington continued has been a strong camp. McVay said he's super impressed with Whittington. He's got the ability to play all 3 spots, can compete in the run game. I think he's really continuing to increase his route volume. He's really played well. I like the sound of that. That sounds pretty good on Whittington. So maybe I'll just go Whittington, somebody who hasn't even been drafted at all, to stack up with. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Because at this point, too, it's also a little bit about finding those guys that aren't getting drafted at all. And then, what if Puka got hurt? Well, Whittington would step in. We saw it last year as a rookie. He was pretty solid. So, yeah, I'll sneak in a little Whittington action to wrap this one up. We do have a question. Is it crazy to start Mason Taylor over Mark Andrews? That is crazy especially because likely might not be playing in week 1. So what are we doing? If there's no likely out there, why would we ever consider sitting Mark Andrews? He'll probably be a top 5 tight end. I'm intrigued by Mason Taylor. Don't get me wrong, Frizz. I think he's a really cool sleeper this year. Very intrigued. But I will not be benching Mark Andrews for him. Yes, that is crazy. I actually do have my week 1 rankings up on the website right now, folks. If you want to check those out, got them done early. We'll, of course, be updating them as we learn more. Is Achane going to play? Jawan Jennings, what's up with him? That type of stuff. So, yeah, we'll do one more. I said I was going to do 5. We've done 3. And that way, just in case there's any last-minute draft questions, I was probably going to do this draft anyways, whether I hang up or not. So let's review the team real quick. Again, a very weird room. I don't know if this draft will stand just because we have a Hurts to Tracy in the first round. Probably not sticking, but we'll see. I went Bijan, Brown, Taylor, and then loaded up the 4 wide receivers. I love that start with Bo Nix, seeing how the quarterbacks were going crazy. Wanted to make sure I got somebody I trusted to be an every week starter. Charbonnet fell to where I want him. That's a stuff my bag as the season's ending type of guy. Godwin, just good ADP value at that point for a receiver room that's going to need juice down the stretch. Love the Godwin play. stacked up Bo Nix with Mims and Franklin. And, kind of forced into Stafford, was really hoping for Geno here. But you can see the kind of quarterback run. I considered even going a quarterback where I took Jadon Blue because I saw how they were flying. Stafford, though, if he's healthy, I would take over all these guys. So big if, but went with him, stacked with Jordan Whittington. Maybe you should have gone, instead of Fannin, gone Ferguson and like double stack Stafford to close the draft out. But I just feel that good about Fannin. Really considered going 4 tight ends, but I think my team needed some more receiver juice when I didn't take one until round 4. So went with Whittington. This is kind of that strategy of, as you wrap up drafts, who has not really been taken at all. You see Joe Flacco here. He's barely been drafted. I think that's an interesting pick at the end. Don't know why Tyler Higbee would go over Terrence Ferguson. So yeah, all intriguing picks for sure. Well, alrighty, we are wrapping up with one final one here, and we are going to be picking from the 4 hole. So we had that 11th pick and then 3 straight from the top of the draft here. Almost 600 of you here. You love to see it. Please do consider that thumbs up, the heart button on Twitter, the thumbs up on YouTube or Facebook to help us get out to more people, continue to grow this channel. Would love to have any likes and subscriptions to the YouTube channel. As well as we get to week 1, we'll be streaming quite often in the season to get you your sit starts, all of that good stuff. And you can, of course, find me at Roto Street Wolf. The last thing I will pump after I make my pick as well. And thankfully, we got Jahmyr Gibbs falling to us. I know CeeDee Lamb's very tempting here, but I'm going to go with Gibbs after a couple Bijan drafts. It'll be nice to mix in some Gibbs for sure. And while it's coming back around with 600 of you watching, maybe I can get one of you to consider buying the guide. A few people have commented in that they love the guide already, that it was well worth the money. It's helping them out. But it's on the website, rotostreetjournal.com, $25 if you want to support your boy. Number 2 in multi-year accuracy, 2022 to 2024, and number 6 last year accuracy. So doing something right. And I've got all my favorite late round sleepers, round by round strategy, pick by pick, who to win. So 600 of a year, if even one more buys it, phenomenal. We've already done really, really well and so gratefully appreciative and humbled by the support that we've gotten. But I can just kind of, again, show you the guide and how it's laid out while we're here. There's an update log as well, so you can kind of see update 826, Cortland Sutton, target hog, become my priority round 4 or 5 receiver, someone I want every team to close it out after we saw 100% of routes, 100% of snaps, 50% targets, 70%. So this one is getting updated by the day. As stuff happens, you're going to get the most up-to-date guide out there. It's the secret weapon, the thing that will push you over the edge, my fades, my targets by round, all the data, the stats that you need to know, some sample team builds, best ball differences as well. So it is a redraft best ball focus, mostly redraft focused, with some best ball summaries as to what to do at each area of the draft. I think you'll love it. I think it will be your kind of secret weapon that not a ton of people have out there. So consider supporting your boy. Again, rotostreetjournal.com, draft guides right there at the top, and you can it'd mean the world. Thank you again so much for those of you who bought it and shared your kind praise as well. All right, back to the draft. And free way to help us out again is that thumbs up. What's up, AR Cannabis? I always called you AR Cannabis and R Cannabis. Let's go. Great to see you. Great to see so many legends popping in to say hi. Again, fill up that mailbag, guys. The whole point of the stream was to ask and answer questions. I know I've gotten a bunch so far, but it is empty at this point and would love more and more interaction as we wrap up the drafts here. Now, these are like my final 3 bullets, I think, in Best Ball Mania. So I have a ton of Gibbs and Taylor already. And I love Bucky Irving. And I was looking the other day, I'm at like 6-7% of him. I need more. I'm at about 15% Taylor and only about 6 to 7% Bucky Irving. So I'm going to go Bucky. Even though I do have Taylor ahead of Bucky by a few spots, that's kind of the portfolio game we play here is in best ball, where you don't want to be completely out on a guy. Because even if, let's say, Taylor has the better season, finishes higher than Bucky, well, if Bucky's the guy in week 17 that goes off for 30, he's the one you needed to have. So you definitely want to diversify. Those of you that like invest in stuff, there's so many parallels. Give me investing in fantasy football players all day and pretending like I know what stocks are. Alrighty, so it's coming down the wire here. I might go an elite quarterback because we haven't really done that yet. Am intrigued if Tyreek falls to me here. He's sitting right there. Hampton, I could do the 3 running back thing, but we saw how it panned out. I'm going to go Tyreek just because, like, of all the people going in round 3, we're talking about a guy that was going top 3 last year, 2,000-yard receiving upside, looks as fast as he's ever looked, running against Olympic athletes. I know it's Tyreek. I know there's risk. It could be like the next AB where he just combusts and suddenly you got nothing. But if you can go, I do think like a league-winning formula this year will be like if you go running back, Gibbs Bucky, Gibbs Taylor, Saquon Taylor, whatever it might be, Jacobs Bijan. And then you get Tyreek, and Tyreek is 90% Tyreek. You won your league. Like you're going to have a receiver that should have been going top 10, 2 running backs that are worth top 10 picks. I think that could be the formula this year. It could also be Tyreek combusts. You wasted a 3rd-round pick. Brutal. But I think the risk is a little bit minimized. Like even if you got Tyreek of last year, what do you have? Like 990 yards and like 5-6 touchdowns. So he still had a couple 30-point days. I think the Dolphins are one of those teams that I talked about this in the guide too, in that I actually want to pull this section up because I think it's a new one this year I debuted. It's called like the stories. Hold on, where is it? The question. So this is one of my favorite parts of the guide. So I'll share this tab. The questions and narratives that will define 2025 fantasy. And this is where I really dove into, this is the year of the rookie running back. What happened to the 49ers? Is J.J. McCarthy going to keep the Kevin O'Connell tradition? Is Bo Nix the next Drew Brees? I dive into a lot of that stuff, and I feature the Dolphins. Like, what version do we get? I do think that's one of the questions that defines the season, right? And so that's a section of the guide I think is very valuable and intriguing to show as well. I just realized I'm not even showing it. Share screen. So I'll just show you what that looked like as I took it off. The questions and narratives that define that. So you can see, like, I think it's the year of the rookie running back. Okay, who am I going after? What happens with the 49ers? What happens with J.J. McCarthy? Is Drew Brees is Bo Nix next Drew Brees? Dolphins, again, one of those big overarching questions this year. So that's one of the most interesting sections. And I think the Dolphins are one of those teams that's like, if you get it right, you can win big. If it is the Dolphins of 2 years ago, what were they? I think I have it right here in the guide, right? Number 1 in yards, number 2 in points, most passing yards, 4th most passing touchdowns just a year ago. If we get close to that and Tyreek's going in round 3, we've won. So that's some of the stuff in the guide, again, that separates it, stuff I don't release on the website, keep for the paid people. So yeah, that's just one last pump for that. I think there's so many interesting things, and again, lots of positive praise in there, but that's why I want to show off that. Because Tyreek, very intriguing, very interesting question that could define the season. And as we come up to this pick, Daniels was making his way back here. I was very excited, had he. But we got 2 interesting receivers plus Sutton as well. Now, normally I'd say this is definitely a Cortland Sutton time, but I do pay attention to the bye weeks in best ball. And so I'm going to go Pickens, a guy I don't have a ton of, opens up the door for a Dak stack later. And I'm hoping Sutton makes his way back to me. I don't think he will, but Pickens never makes his way into round 5. Sometimes we see Cortland Sutton. He's just not a sexy click, even though I think he's sexy as all hell. So he would be target. I think Travis Hunter, Calvin Ridley. There's just such a good pocket of receivers. And in redraft, these guys often go round 6, round 7, round 8. Best ball, they're definitely elevated a bit. And there does go, unfortunately, Sutton to Harry Kane over there. But a good excuse to add Calvin Ridley. I'm not a DK guy. DJ Moore is sketching me out. I think Dunze might be that. that guy. So I'm going to go Calvin Ridley here and just keep adding him to the portfolio, so to speak. But this is that pocket of receivers I talked about in the draft guide, really going around like 6 to 8, even round 5 to get Sutton, that you can just hammer. All these guys have so much upside, and some will be more right than others. Malik Neighbors in this range last year was in the guide, right? Some will certainly be better than others, but a lot of them are just so juicy to me. JMO being one of those huge targets for me, for sure. So I think, not to go into too much of my auction plan yet, because maybe there's some snakes watching, but I am largely going to be trying to make my receiver core in that round 6 to 8 range, because in auctions, those guys often go for $8, $12, $9. Whereas like the elite guys, the AJ Browns, $60. Great, probably worth it. But when I can get 3 guys for the same price as Puka, I can fill up my whole receiver core, and then instead of paying $50, $60 for a receiver, get a Gibbs, get a Barkley, get an elite tight end to go with them, and then just mix and match these receivers and whatever ones are going to be the best value. Don't chase, Travis Hunter's going for 20 suddenly. No, I'm not going to keep chasing that up. But Cortland Sutton goes for 12 because he's unsexy. Great. That's where I'm going to be living and breathing wide receivers, I think, this year. For sure. Ricky Pearsall, toss him into this list, right? So many intriguing wide receivers in this range as he just goes. Rashee Rice, one of my favorite clicks. Especially if I already have 3 receivers and I can get Rashee Rice, it's like, oh boy, no brainer. And this guy pulled that off. I don't like Marvin Harrison very much. One of my busts for sure. But hey, maybe he pans out and suddenly this team is looking scary. That's a nice value on Josh Allen too. So fun team there for sure. Henry, St. Brown, studs. I like what Brown Carter's doing there. I would have preferred, instead of Harrison, I think McLaurin looks good there. I think Adams looks good there. And then I would have, been head over heels for that team. Hey, maybe Harrison pans out. I don't know. I think one thing I should probably keep checking is I have a bunch of slow drafts started. And I'm probably getting timed out on a lot of them too. All righty, so we got 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. Olave playing the slot is juicy. I just don't have a lot of Pacheco, and I feel like I could regret that. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to make a couple quick picks in my slow draft Pomeranians here as well. Why don't I kind of share those? You can see what's going on. They bumped the shot clock up to an hour, which is really – I know you got to get the drafts in. I would wish I had not entered all of these. So I got 2, 4, 7, 2 going right here. I got good running backs, so I only need one more. Let me see here. How many more picks do we have? So probably had one more running back. Yeah, definitely one more receiver when it's JMO, Calvin, Debo. So I like Troy Franklin's catching my eye here. Although I like getting a Commander's back. And so I'm going to add Chris Rodriguez there. And then that Pomeranian. All right, best Ball Mania is back. Hold on. Diggs making his way back. I have a hard time avoiding that. The Pats fan in me says, go Diggs. And that's why I'm happy I went Pacheco, because I was like, I like Olave. I like Diggs. I hope one makes it back to me. And sure enough, Diggs does. Awesome. Let's go. All right, so in this Pomeranian, we got a 2, 5, 6, 1. Burrow, Herbert, 5 good running backs, so no need to overinvest there. I like this team. Wow. I do need a tight end eventually, but none of these guys are screaming must buy. I have Hampton, so probably not Najee here. Don't need a third quarterback in Geno. I like got a lot of 10 week 10 bye weeks. I do like Io Manor. I like Torrey Horton, though, and I only have one week 8 bye. He's a guy I want to keep adding to the portfolio. So let's go Torrey Horton there. Add some juice to the receiver room. All right. Thank you, folks, for watching me picking my slow drafts because that timer is just insane now. All right. Back to the BBM board, though. I probably got auto-picked quite a few times thinking that. All righty. So again, any questions you guys have, we're about halfway through this draft. Happy to answer. That's kind of the whole point of the show. Review your team, waivers, who should I pick up, keeper situations, any of that, let me know. But let's check this squad out so far. We got Gibbs, Irving, running back start. Love it. Tyreek Hill in the third. Great value, as we talked about, that potential like linchpin player, decide the season player. What do you get out of Tyreek? You get even close to 2 years ago, Tyreek and Dolphins. You just won your league with a great running back start. Pickens, Ridley, Diggs, like the receiver room to start a bunch of running backs and still have Pacheco as a flex option. I like this team. This team is very interesting to me. But we got to land the plane, so to speak. Charbonnet, very intriguing here. I do want to come away with like one of these quarterbacks in terms of Bo Nix and Baker. I think Nix is a lot easier to stack. You got correlation with Pacheco in week 17. And then goes Charbonnet. So I'm gonna go Bo Nix here. Although I do have Bucky, so like Baker's stackable. So maybe I go both, right? I would not be opposed to that. And if not, J.K. Dobbins can stop. J.K. Dobbins just goes right underneath me. You can stack up there. It's so hard to see Reed going here when I was drafting him in like the 70s. And now here he is just sitting there like dangling in front of me. We do have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt if I want to wrap up a draft. I know it feels a little bit of a reach, but if he is this year's Bucky, well, there he goes. So say his name and you will be cursed, apparently. But I do think there's definitely plenty of correlation with Baker that I could go him and Bucky, have two great quarterbacks, and be set at that position. And then I'm just figuring out tight end because right here, there goes Baker. So I guess not. So this is where it's like, man, do you take the risk on Reed? Probably not, but I feel like let's go Evan Ingram and we'll stack up Bo Nix. We take care of our tight end need. I am a little worried that Evan Ingram's only playing, half the snaps in the preseason, but it's preseason. I don't want to overreact. The Joker role, and maybe he pans out decent. So I've got my stack now. I've got a full roster. This is nice. This is kind of one of my favorite ways to build out teams. Is you get all your starters, and then that gives you that flexibility to, okay, I love the running backs in this, 120, 140 to 148. I can go Blue, Ollie Gordon. So knowing that, maybe I'm going to go a couple receivers here at 17, 24. Maybe I get my backup quarterbacks because somebody falls. This is a nice range to bake in some flexibility for yourself. By filling out your starting roster, you're like, okay, boom, I'm good. Shaheed definitely caught my eye, who just goes off the board now. He's just that classic, like, all right, he's your wide receiver 5, and last year he was averaging like 18 points a game, and that was with like a 0-point dud. Perfect for best ball. Perfect for best ball. All righty. And there's CJ dropping in the draft guide over here. Hopefully, CJ, if you're still watching, you can add it to the description. Oh, you said you already put it in the description. Perfect. So, again, one last call while we have this kind of dead air time. 630 of you here. If even just one of you is willing to buy the draft guide, it would go such a long way to helping us out. It's been a great offseason with it, but everything you need in that draft guide, I promise. Maybe we can preview like one little section for you. Let's go to the penny stocks, huh? So wide receivers. This is where the updates come in. Like Trey Harris at the start of the guide, one of my favorite sleepers. Trey Harris now, not so much. Luther Burden, Zacchaeus looking like the slot guy, so maybe more of a back-weighted bet. Marvin Mims playing all the routes in the preseason. Devon Vele's been traded. So there's all this stuff. I'll show you the update log too, right? So you kind of see, it's like, well, yeah, why would I buy a guide that has been out for months? Well, this is what I think separates this guide is you have all these updated logs. Quinshon Judkins going to say, no, he's not. Travion Harrison looking great, no longer a fade. We've got the first round updates. We got Rashee Rice going there. Why are these guys? Why did Bucky go up the preseason? Why is Charbonnet going up? Ollie Gordon, another arrow up. Ricky Pearsall. This is where it's like, this guide will be more on top of anything that you could get at a magazine stand from any other analyst that just like puts their guide out and then is like, all right, I'm done. This one was updated literally through Coker, right? Jaden Reed's injury and Jalen Coker updated it on Friday. All righty. So we're going to go back now to the draft board, but it's as up to date as you can get. I promise. All righty. And now we get Prescott. I love that. I was worried the Lamb owner might be taking him, but he already had Lamar, so I didn't feel like I had to force it, and I didn't. And I'm so happy to get Prescott where I did. Guy I'm trying to add to close out best ball, stacks it up with Pickens. I'm loving this team. Honestly, could have considered Prescott where I went Ingram, but I was hopeful that Lamar being on that other team. And then maybe we can stack up Mims and Bo Nix and get, double stack that. That'd be beautiful. We got Tank Bigsby still sitting out there, the starting running back potentially for them. There goes Ollie Gordon. Wow. So trying to stuff my bags, but other people are trying to stuff it even more. But that's a smart move by JT Dogs because you know what? You got to get your guys. He would not have been out there. I promise you that, JT Dogs. He would have gone to me. So I'll get Marvin Mims, get a fifth wide receiver here. I love how this is like a nice, solid, balanced team that's plucked some nice values. So again, we went Gibbs, Irving, Tyreek Hill in third, which I want to keep emphasizing. Like that's going to be a deciding point of the season. Maybe you're out. Understand why. If you're in and he hits big, it could be massive. Like the Pickens one, I was really hoping to stack Pickens and Dak, and I was able to pull it off that the CeeDee Lamb team had Lamar and did not feel probably so, the law of diminishing returns. Thought they might pluck a value Prescott there, but glad they didn't. Left him for me. Thank you. 5-hole. I appreciate that. Ridley. This was where, Pickens versus Sutton. I was hoping Sutton would make it back. He sometimes curls around 5, whereas Pickens never makes it through that buzzsaw. And he didn't. But this was Pacheco versus I was like, okay, I really like Olave and Diggs. Maybe one can make it back, and they sure did. Granted, I was hoping to stack Diggs and Drake May. I would have gone 3 quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Prescott, May. I know that's risky, but that's what you also want to give yourself those options to get a good quarterback value by taking Pickens, by getting Diggs. Now I can, if Cam Ward falls to me, boom, I got 3 quarterback built with Cam Ward because I got Ridley. You got these guys that give you outs so that when you get sniped on your quarterback, it's not the end of the world. That's what it's all about with these best ball drafts for sure. And then you wrapped it up with kind of, again, talk about Bo Nix maybe being the next Drew Brees, Sean Payton's Denver team taking it to the next level. One thing to consider too is that week 17 correlation. If you're new to best ball, all the money is in week 17. Yes, you win some money along the way. We're not playing this to min cash. I'm putting this $25 in to hopefully turn it into $2 million, right? And to win that, you have to have a optimized team for that final week. So a lot of people have done some great research of like the importance of week 17. And if you've played daily fantasy, stacking games that go off is important. So right now we got Chiefs versus Broncos week 17, Christmas Day. What that goes off, right? Like Bo Nix is going crazy. Or, the Chiefs light it up early. So Pacheco scores 2 touchdowns and now Bo Nix is chasing points, right? Pats will face the Jets, gross game. So, but maybe I'm looking at Braylon Allen. He went right before me, right? But Saints versus, that's where Shaheed might have come in here. I do want to get a little bit of Commanders in this locker room because they're facing the Cowboys. I think that's a phenomenal Week 17 matchup. That's some of the stuff you got to consider in these best ball drafts for sure. 644 of you here, though. Thank you again so much. The rankings, I know I've pumped the guide a bunch. My rankings are free. They're at the website, rotostreetjournal.com, updated with the Coker, with all that. So even if you don't have the means to support the guide, totally understand with the $25 increase. Totally understand. But it will be the rankings fully updated, fully free, and out there for you. I do believe Jade on Blue must have gone. Oh, yeah, it just went 2 picks ago. And got a few teams without a tight end, so I will stack Ferguson, the player of the day, surprisingly. Not a guy I've have a ton of, but today, he's the guy. So Jake Ferguson, stack him up with Dak. I love stacking my tight ends with my quarterbacks because like tight end points are rare. So when you get them in your lineup, it means they probably scored a touchdown. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Ferg in that sense. All righty. So this is where it's like, do I reach on Coker to stuff the bags? Probably isn't going to wrap around to 165. Really want to add my Holy Cross boy. It just seems like fate to me. Probably going to have to snag him here. Like, I have a ton of Dante Thornton, who I do have ranked ahead of him. I'm not going to, this is where it's nice to have like 2 quarterbacks already. If Ward's there next round, sure. I'm going to take Jalen Coker here. A little bit of a reach. But again, trying to stuff those bags. He's going his ADP says 171. He's going to go 150 something every single draft you do. So I like adding that right there. And then hopefully, Thornton wraps around. Leggett also should get a bump up too. With Thielen again being traded there, one of the bigger trades. It's going a little under the radar right now, in my opinion. But we've got a 2-3-6-2 here through 13 rounds, probably wrapping up. I'm guessing this team will end up being like a 2-5-9-3 or 2-5-8-3 rather, or maybe a classic 2-6-8-2 works for this team as well. We'll see how it all falls out, but I mentioned liking the Commanders to start with, so Ertz on the way around would be nice. Dante Thornton still sitting out there would be nice. But I want to stuff the bag. I said at the top of the show, my goal with these 4 drafts is to stuff the bags with the guys I really want. Only got like Ollie Gordon once or twice, sadly. He's really rising. I've gotten him a lot in early best ball. So I have like an 8 to 9% Ollie Gordon bag. Jalen Coker's a guy I barely have any of, and I really do think has some insane upside. So I know I'm reaching, quote, but this is the time of the year to go get those guys for sure. All right, no Palmer. I just got to check my slow drafts. No Pomeranians flying right now. There goes Ertz, sadly. Was hoping he would make it around to me. He's one of the sleeper tight ends featured in the guide for sure. Thornton goes too. All the guys I was hoping for. Starting to get plucked right under the nose. I wouldn't hate Hunter Henry here. I want a little more Isaac Tesla. What do you do in the preseason? Like 10 catches, 170, and 3 touchdowns on 14 targets. One of the best offenses. They felt comfortable enough to trade away. What's his name? Tim Patrick to give Isaac Tesla the number 3 job. I think he should be going way earlier. So definitely one of the risers and definitely somebody I'm chasing up the board, no doubt. All right, we are in a range here, 8, 9. 10. So we got only 3 running backs. I don't know what to make of the Browns. Like Ford is a guy that does intrigue me. He goes right. Another one of those ones. Just bring up his name and he'll go. Don't you worry. I just don't know what to make of them. I do like Will Shipley here. I do like Tajay Spears, even though he's going to begin on the PUP. Recovers and he's back by midseason. This is nice. Nice option for him. Torrey Horton, a good sleeper receiver I've been emphasizing too. What do we want to do here? I think I'm going to go Shipley. Just insane handcuff upside. Should something happen to Barkley, and those of you drafting probably know the curse of the 400 touches, the curse of 2,000 yards. If Shipley gets that role, he clearly showed he was the running back too this preseason. They rested him while playing Dillon, who looked like garbage. I'm not worried about by A.J. Dillon at all. So I like Will Shipley. I think he's a nice addition to this running back room where I have my starters. I'm now looking for the upside stashes. I think Shipley's one of the best you can do. And he's somebody I'm a little light on my bags. So I'm trying to add a ton of Will Shipley here to close out the drafts as well. And we got about probably like 8-10 minutes till this draft is done, guys. If you have any last-minute questions, get them in. This is the time. 650 of you here. Thank you so much. Love to see that many live with us. So awesome. Thank you, Andrew. Let's get it going. I have a crazy bench after an auction. Buka, Jamo, Pearsall, Harvey, all on the bench. Why give any of them up, right? So Andrew, I'm wondering what your starters look like, right? Because this is your bench. In an auction, you must have taken the none of the studs, but a balanced approach, right? Because that bench is crazy. I wouldn't give up on any of these guys. I think they're all amazing. And that will give you see which ones, because what you've done, Andrew, is you've loaded up on guys that could be those league winners this year in the middle rounds. I think I featured half those guys in my league winning article. I know I wrote, if you guys want to see that one, it's on the website, mid-round explosion candidates. I know Jamo was in there. I know Pearsall was in there. Harvey was in there. Charbonnet was in there. Ingram was in there. Or no, Warren was in there. And I love, if you were going to give me more names to put in there, Igbuka's in the draft guide as a target. And you still have BT. Wow. I mean, that's crazy. I would say I would probably just keep what you got because it's your starting lineup's very good, but it's also what if Worthy doesn't take that next step? What if Hampton is a little slow to start? What if Pollard is a little banged up and hurt because he's old? That depth doesn't hurt. It is always a great, if you can do let's say Pollard and Jamo and you get yourself an elite wide receiver to go with BTJ. Maybe pull it off, but don't get that itch. My bench is so good, I have to consolidate it. During bye weeks, that's going to come in crucial for you. So, you have to drop two so you got to trade then. You have to trade. Otherwise, I might not even pick up a kicker or defense. That's how good your bench is. All right, we're going to have to make a pick here in just a second, but that is a insane roster, Andrew. Well done. That definitely gets the Wolf approval stamp for sure that everybody's chasing. All righty. I think this is a good time. I only got 4 running backs. Could use a little bit more, maybe this guy's viable early. We'll go back to Kyle Monangai for that. I like the week 5 bye. Doesn't really mess with too much. And there's not a ton of other running backs. Brashad Smith, I do like. He might go last round. It's really thinned out though, so that's why I wanted to get Monangai. Is the targets I like at running back have really started to go. Taj Brooks is a fine handcuff in there. Not into Dameon Pierce. Maybe he starts over Chubb. I don't know. I don't want any of that myself. And then at wide receiver, Franklin to pair with Nix. That would be a smart move. And we like being smart. So we'll go Troy Franklin, pair him with Nix. So you got Mims, Ingram. I don't have Sutton, but, plenty of weapons to pair with Bo Nix, which I really like. Your 2-touchdown preseason day for Troy Franklin. A lot of second-year hype. The Oregon boys back. I like Troy Franklin as a late sleeper quite a lot here. And I knew I wanted to add a receiver anyways. And now what I have is that flexibility. If we look at this roster, we got a 2-5-8-2 so far, right? Do I need a 6 running back? Absolutely not. When you have Gibbs and Bucky Irving and Pacheco, I'm set. I can be good at running back. If the best player on the board is a running back by the time he gets to my last pick, absolutely. Do I need a tight end 3? No, you got Ingram and Ferguson, 2 middle round guys that are both going to be steady volume producers. Don't need it. Do I need a third quarterback? No. Between Prescott and Nix, probably going to be set there. I'm definitely not going to go with third quarterback. So I have that option of like, what's the best thing on the board here in the final round? If there's a tight end that makes sense, sure, I probably am looking at a third tight end. But if none of those guys are good, then maybe it's Brashard Smith, who does correlate. I do have Pacheco, so I don't love that. Maybe I do just add a ninth receiver because it is, when you don't take your first till round 3, I got some explosive guys, but a little more juice to balance out, like a Tesla, a Franklin aren't the same. Could be a 2-5-9 build. What I love is when I enter round 1, it's like I don't have to force in a running back here. I don't have to force in a tight end. And you watch a tight end run happen and there's nobody you like left. That's the worst. I do love Elijah Arroyo, a very athletic freak tight end. I think this tight end room between Evan and Ferguson, it's fine, but you could use some juice. So I might be looking at an Elijah Arroyo that balances out Coker, week 17 matchup there. I think that's pretty nice. That's probably what I'm going to look at. I do like Zacchaeus as a wide receiver, like bridge type of guy, though. I think Fannon's already sadly gone. Terrence Ferguson's there, though. He's an intriguing sleeper as well. So most likely a third tight end, but what I like is I don't have to do a tight end for sure. Benjamin saying, should I trade Sutton and Bucky for CMC? So Benjamin, I'll again say I like that deal in terms of like it seems very equal on paper. I'm not a CMC guy. He's hurt me too many times. He's kicked me in the balls too many times. He bones me if I have him. He bones me when I don't by facing him in the finals. I don't like CMC at all. Only because of personal grudges. He'll be the best player in fantasy if he stays healthy. I think he also, you do that trade, he's hurt by week 2, and you're watching Bucky Irving become like the next great young stud. I don't do it. But you're talking to somebody who's higher on Sutton and Bucky than the vast majority of people in this world. So I would not do that. I also see why it's a very fair trade. Would you drop Rachaad White for Tootin? Yes, I would do that this exact second. I am going to go one of my favorite tight end sleepers in Elijah Arroyo, give myself a little more juice at the position. He's like runs like a 4.3 at like 250, insane, clock like 22 miles per hour last year. Cam Ward's go-to guy. And they've called him like their X receiver. So I'll do that. I'll wrap this one up with a 2.53, like that one a ton. These are some interesting teams. I really like for sure here. But yes, Giuseppe, again, drop White for Tootin for sure. You definitely that I liked your team, Giuseppe, but you do need you did a good job jellyfishing. But when you do that and you have a 0 RB team, you need that balance of like, here's some guys that can start for me week 1, get me some points and let me figure it out. But you need the guys that you're figuring it out to get to. You're doing Chubb as a bridge to somebody with more upside later. I didn't see who was on the other side of that. And no, maybe they are waiver wire guys and you find them throughout the year. But I'd like to have at least a couple of those shots already on my roster so my opponents aren't sniping them from me either. Giuseppe. That's what was missing on that team. You had like classic good Chubb can be like an 8 to 10 point day in week 1. Dobbins right there. You have some bridges, but they need to lead to somewhere. Rachaad White, at that point, you already have enough bridges. I don't need Rachaad White there. I need give me, Tootin. Give me Jadon Blue. Give me Ollie Gordon. Give me that upside. I always liked Jalen Warren, but Najee was the favorite there. Now Caleb Johnson, I feel like his stock was up, is trending downwards. Yeah, he's downwards. I know Slink, you have the guide. I mean, he's rotating in behind Kenny Gainwell. I know. Is that going to happen in the season? No, probably not. But then you look, Arthur Smith kept Bijan Robinson in a committee his rookie year. He was the running back 17 in fantasy points per game. He had like a under 60% opportunity share. Bijan Robinson, the best running back, the number 1 running back we're all taking in fantasy under Arthur Smith, was a 60% or under workload guy. I mean, how bad can you be? So I mean, now that he's trending down and there's a certain point, but yeah, I will take Caleb because I think he's a good runner. I like the big back build. I think he can hit the hole hard, but I definitely not really downgrading him too much in Dynasty. I think it's going to take him a while to get going this year. And even when he does get going, okay, Warren is still going to be involved as a pass protector, pass catcher. What if Caleb Johnson whiffs on the pass block and Aaron Rodgers gets lit up? You think we're going to see Caleb Johnson for a few weeks? No. So there's just a lot of risk to him. Whereas when he was going like the 60s and 70s, no way, wasn't touching him. Now that he falls to the 90s, I'll sniff him. But like the sniff doesn't even smell that great to me. I still find myself going Zach Charbonnet, or some of the receivers. That's a great quarterback window, right? I just don't find myself going Caleb Johnson very often at all. So I'm with you, Slink, trending downwards. Dynasty, I think that's more you're betting on the talent if you really like the prospect. But like again, you're taking him around RJ Harvey. Give me RJ Harvey. Frazier, what's up? Great to see you in Scotland over there. Thoughts on this draft? Any trade targets? Daniels, Genty, JT. I don't know how I can't love this. And then you have Ladd. There's another one. I said at the top of the show, Frazier, when you start to be like, I can't recognize where you took your players. Like, who did you take round 3? Ladd, Daniels, Tyreek was round 4 or 5. Was this an auction? Like, how did you pull this off? Okay, and then you have Kittle as the tight end. I don't know what you did or how you got this team. It's like this is the epitome. Because there was somebody earlier that was like, "How do you think of my team?" And I was like, I can't really figure out who was your 5th round pick here. That's a good thing because like all these guys, who was your 3rd round pick? I truly have no idea how you pulled this team off. Like, I would like to know, Frazier. Type out who was pick 1, 2. I know it was probably Genty, then JT. I'm guessing it was Daniels, then somehow Ladd was there, but like, was Tyreek in the 5th? How was Kittle in the 6th? Sutton is 7th? I don't know. I really, truly, Frazier, have no clue how you got this. Your bench is stacked with upside and great picks. Unbelievable. I don't know. Trade targets, like, what are you going to do? Spit on a masterpiece, Frazier? You've done wonderful. I don't know if you read the guide or not this year. You're usually one of the first ones to get it. I think you did. But if you didn't, you follow the guide. You transfer the wolf in you. Unbelievable. That has to be an auction somehow. I'm going to take a picture of that. That's got to be 10 teams too, right? Like, that can't be 12. That's just insane. Frazier, that's the best team. Is it 8-man? Is this like an 8-man league? Maybe I know. What's up, Andrew? This guy knows what he's talking about. Thank you, brother. It is about pass protection with certain ones, and certainly Rodgers is on that list of like, he gets lit up once, he's not coming out. I fully agree. Alrighty, guys. Well, that was really fun ripping through 4 drafts. Liked all 4 of the teams. The first one was a little sketchy, but I thought the other 3 came out really solid by the end. You got to see some of my targets. The guys I'm filling my bags with at the end of draft season I don't have enough of was kind of the goal of this. I answered a ton of questions because you guys are awesome and brought a great mailbag. On your way out, please do consider hitting that thumbs up button to help us get out to more people. That's a free way to help us. If you do want to support your boy monetarily, it would mean the world. We've sold a bunch of these guides, and it has been incredible the support you guys have had for it. We got 690 of you here. Can I get 10 of you to buy the guide? Maybe not. I know it's greedy to ask for, but I promise it'll put you over the hump. Number 6 in last year's draft accuracy. Number 2 from 2022 to 2024 in terms of multi-year accuracy. So at least you have that backing by Fantasy Pros, of course. You know that you're getting that. You know nobody's worked harder. I'm back to school now, but all summer, this is, when I have my free hours, I spend as much time as I can with Josie, Hillary, love those. And in the morning, I might get a few hours free. It's all been this guide. It's been updates. It's been writing it. I pour my soul into this fantasy guide, and I promise to you, it will definitely help you guys out there. It's the draft guide that no one else in your league will know about. It'll be your secret weapon. So please do check that out. And if not, if you don't have the means, understand it. Totally fine. Everything else I do on the website is free. So week 1 rankings are there. I'll show, my big board updated up to the minute with, again, Jalen Coker news and whatnot, all at rotostreetjournal.com. Again, the draft guide is your way to the most support me, but the free ways are a quick heart, thumbs up where you're at, and or subscribing to the channel, all that good stuff. And of course, the rankings, all that is up here for free for you too. But that wraps up the draft season here. Best of luck. Let's see how it goes. Subscribe. Thank you, Andrew. I'll definitely be looking out for you this season. Dude's the secret weapon now. I promise you'll love the guide. If you see 10 teams, yes. Okay. Oh, lay it. Oh, now we get Ladd and Daniels are keepers. Now that makes some sense because I was like, how did we pull this off? Still a perfect round 1, 2, 3 with people having 2 keepers to still get those guys. Frazier, you crushed it. Well done. And thank you again so much for being here, guys. RotoStreetJournal.com, where you can find all the content. Like I said, 99.999% of it's free. I have a lot of previews of the guide up there. I have my sleepers. I have my breakouts. So try to get as much info to you guys to help you guys out as possible. Hopefully, again, if you feel the urge, you support your boy by buying the guide. But if not, tons of good free stuff to help you dominate. Go crush those drafts. Don't forget RotoStreetJournal.com. Don't forget the Roto Street Wolf. Week 1 rankings are live, and we will definitely be previewing them this week. In a world full of fantasy sheep, guys, be the wolf. Best of luck in those drafts. Have a blast out there. Can't wait to hear about your teams. Let's do it, baby. Whew.